There it is.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is Wednesday evening. I'm Rob, coming to you from the basement as I always do. I am joined, as I always am, by Northern Vinyl Guy. Daryl, how you doing, man?
Good.
Good.
Freezing my balls off up here.
And here he is coming in under the wire.
There he is.
Joe.
Hey, guys.
How you doing, man?
Could you try again?
Computer issues again. Not sure
Uh-oh.
what the deal is, but I'm almost fixed up.
All right.
You wore that shirt just for the theme, I'm assuming, right there.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
There you go.
All
Our
right.
special guest this week, as everyone can see, Music Talk with John. How you doing, John?
I'm good. Happy to be
Thank
here.
you for joining us, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Got that text. I'm like, let's go.
Cool. How's everybody been? A couple folks. Chris, all the way from England. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Chris.
Trevor, how you doing, man? What's going on with everybody? Daryl's freezing his ass off up north. I'm freezing my ass off here. Are you freezing your ass off out there, Joe?
I'm not actually. It was. I think it was actually +1 today for a little while. So
That's going to be Friday here. So
not hot, not warm, but better than it has been for sure.
Right.
So and by the way, we're live. See, my phone just told me.
there we are.
Yeah.
Curtis, how you doing, sir? Welcome. John's got nice, warm, balmy T-shirt and short weather down in Florida. So
That's right.
there's that.
That's what we do. That's how
Yeah.
we roll.
That's good. That's good. So I missed the setup conversation. It's cold where you guys are, is it?
Oh shit!
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's that
not bad.
cold that just gets to your bones, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. No, I 100%. Yeah. I mean, you've got all the moisture down there as well. We're dry when it's cold here. You get that extra crap. So
We got almost a foot in the last few days here, so
yeah.
which is just fun,
Yeah. Just not what you need at all.
right? And it's so
Yeah.
cold where Daryl is. His kid's school had a diesel day today.
Yeah.
Which you got to entertain everyone about what a diesel day is, Daryl, because this is hilarious.
So, at my school, I've had about 5 or 6 of them over my career, and I've also had one forest fire smoke day at my school too. So what happens is in the winter when it gets so cold, they have to let the diesel trains run up here, or they let the diesel transport trucks that go up the winter roads run overnight, and the diesel fuel fumes get into the school exhaust system. And what happens is that you can't go into the school because you can't breathe the air in. It's so toxic. So they canceled school.
Really?
Yikes.
Can just put on a mask and an oxygen tank and go to school. I mean,
There you
come
go.
on.
I know. Just like 2020 all over again.
Yeah,
That'd
what's
be
going
terrible.
on?
There used to be a couple of fumes when I would walk through the smoking section getting into school, but never inside the school. It was always outside the school.
Curtis says they're having a snowstorm out there. That must have been the one that blew through here yesterday and the day before. So fun times.
What
just
makes
finished-
I might put this up on the big screen when it gets to me, but I'll try to show that picture. Hopefully it'll come in. But
Yeah.
what my street looked like on Monday.
That's
Brutal.
I tried to take a picture last night. I was cooking dinner, and you look out of my kitchen window and you can see, because we're on a little bit of a hill, so all the houses recently lower beneath us, and you can see almost a block and a half down to my son's school. Except I couldn't even see my neighbor's backyard. It was just white. So I tried to take a picture out the front window with the street light. It was just white. Like, so there was no point in taking a picture. It was just and not a storm by any means. I mean, shit, we're used to it, but I still hate it.
If anybody has a chance, there's a place in Ontario called Sauble Beach, Sauble. There is a picture that was taken recently of a stop sign, and the snow was up to the bottom of the red part of the stop sign.
You guys have
See if
short
I can
stop
find it.
signs? Is that what it is?
It's brutal.
Let me just find
We've
it
been
here.
getting hit bad in Ontario.
I'll just pull this up here momentarily.
I think Curtis has too got nailed last year. Like they were up to the houses. I mean, not just the stop sign. It blew past the stop sign, and I thought it was up to the roofs of some of the houses in Curtis's neck of the woods last year. So.
Let's see here. All right, let's see if you guys can see this. Hold on here. Share. Can you guys see that picture?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You guys have short stop signs.
That's about, what is that? About 2.5 hours northwest of where I am right now. But it's right on the shore of one of the Great Lakes. So they get a lot of that lake effect stuff. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
Fun in the sun.
Makes me want to move to Canada.
What's Chris saying here? We've had fires in LA, hurricanes in Miami, snowstorms in Canada. Welcome to 2025. Well, I think the hurricanes are relatively normal, and the snowstorms absolutely are pretty normal. The
snow
fires
in
were a little bit
Pensacola
crazy.
is not normal.
No, that's true. That's true. Trevor's supposed to get some snow out in the Seattle area, which means 12 flakes. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. 12 flakes, but a whole bunch of rain. But that's all
There you
right.
go. Ruckerhound, welcome. Shut the place down for a week. Jesus. Yeah, they get battered out where Curtis is out on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were saying before we went online, snowstorms are nothing new for us. I mean, shit, we grew up with them, but still, every time they hit, you just go, oh, Christ, not another one.
Yeah.
Not
What's
another.
What's in a snowstorm? Are you just talking about strong winds? Do you get hail? What is this?
No, you just get a lot of snow and it just
the
piles
snow.
up.
Okay, kind of like a rainstorm.
There's snowstorms, and then there's blizzards. Blizzards is when there's the sustained winds, and it's yeah. There's shit show, and then blizzard, I guess, kind of, and then whatever beyond that. So,
Gotcha.
Like for example, I mean, I work for the company I work for. Our North American headquarters is in Charlotte. They get 3 flakes on the ground and everything shut down, state of emergency. We got up this morning and there was about 4.5, 5 inches of snow, and collectively we all went, well, that's inconvenient, and just went about our day. And everyone was at work on time and everyone was at school on time. It's no big deal. But we've had that for like the last 3 days. So my snowbank went from this tall 3 days ago to several feet tall in the matter of a couple of days. So. It's the dig out that's hard. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Curtis, is that a new profile picture? Did you get a new turntable, or am I just not that perceptive? I know that's probably the case, but that looks new. Thanks for agreeing, Rob. Appreciate that.
I was agreeing to the fact that it might be a new turntable.
Oh, I thought you were okay. Okay, that's
never. Fair. I would never think anything like that.
Okay, that's fair.
There you go. Other than the weather, what's been going on, guys? Anything exciting?
No, just regular old craziness at work and all that. Yeah, I did my first video. My first video.
You did your what, John?
My first video of the year. I finally got one. I think my second video of the year. The first one was live. So yeah, I'm like, I guess I should do one. It's almost February, so
there's no rules here. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's kind of nice not doing it for a little while.
Sometimes you get into those funks, right? Where it almost seems like it's a chore, not something you want to do.
Yeah, I think I just got busy with other things. I'm like, I'll do that next. But but I finally got that Stevie Wonder out. Young LP Lovers reminded me a couple weeks ago, so I finally got that thing filled. Got it done.
Joe and I did a fun video where we were talking about our love of the Beatles and Kiss, and nobody's fucking watched it.
I know. I watched it, and I mean, it's going to sound dumb, but not necessarily to us that do this, because I don't always watch everything, but I did watch it because when we're having a conversation, I don't necessarily watch my own back because I know what I said. Right. But there's times where, I don't know what I said because I was listening to you, and I watched it, and it's pretty decent. It's pretty good. I mean, I know
it was a hell of a lot of fun.
but it was good. And oh well, you know what? If nothing else, it was a great conversation between a couple of guys about the bands they like, and it was. But I did enjoy it. It was good, and I watched it back, and I thought that it turned out well. So
right, Chris watched it. Thank you, man.
Yeah. I got catching up to do. I'll get to it.
It doesn't. Yeah, I'm joking. It doesn't really matter. You know, we don't make. I guess to some extent we make them so people can watch them, but I think, at least for myself, it's more for my own enjoyment than anyone else. And if someone wants to watch it, cool, and I'm thankful for that. But yeah, that was a fun one to do, though. I mean, we talked for over an hour, so maybe that might be the deterrent for some folks.
It could have been, sure.
Idiots talk for an hour.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of fluff. I think we kept it. I think we kind of kept it moving and changed up what we were talking about. We kept talking about the same bands, but we changed what we were discussing about them. But it was good. I even did a new video again today too. I did my MGK Boston entry, so put that up today.
Yeah, I just saw that before we went live. I'll watch it after we're done.
Yeah,
Chris is talking about how shorts do so much better. Yeah, I do bursts of shorts every now and then. I'll do them for a few weeks, and then I won't do them for quite a while, and then I'll do them again. I just had one short that I did one day a few months back that's now hit almost 70,000 views. And I went,
wow,
the hell? Holy shit. 70,000. That's astounding.
I need to look up that one edit, James. That one was going through the roof.
Yeah. I like shorts, but I feel I don't care about them from the perspective of, you got to do shorts to grow your channel. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get the subs, but they're not really gonna watch. So it's good for the number part.
I feel sort of constrained by the. I can't make anything with a short. At least I feel. I'm sort of feel creativity bound, I guess. Not that anything I make is tremendously creative, but it is what it is. So
yeah,
Joe's dying over there.
Yeah, okay.
I've done a few shorts. I just find them boring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess my attention span is a little different than modern generation. Mine runs longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah. It's a way to get kind of creative. I played around with different kinds, but that Edda's at 87,000.
Wow.
But then the next one next to that is 6,000. So you can see the Edda I don't understand how that just took off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
One thing I do like about them is it's the one place on YouTube where I can actually play the music that we can't put in a normal video, right? So
to an extent, as long as you're at 6 seconds, yeah.
Well, no, not even. No, the 6 second thing is not. I've been busted for less than that. But if so, what I do is I just have a record playing with the thing in there, but I don't use the audio from my video. I make sure that it's a song that is in the YouTube library that I can.
Oh, yeah.
You can. There are songs that are licensed for 60 seconds. So, you all right, Joe? You didn't die on us.
Yeah, I kind of am, but I'll be okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry.
Let's see here. What's Chris is saying he did one on his record player that was hitting 200,000 views.
Oh, people love that. You get a new record player. You talk about your gear. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's always gets pretty good views.
That's insane. Darren, how you doing, man? I never understood the sensational need to get subs and clicks. Does it pay well? No, it doesn't pay well.
I'm still not monetized. Yeah.
I am, and I make next to nothing.
Yeah, I don't get the views in.
I have the views. I have the watch hours. I only did it out of principle because YouTube's making the money off my work. So I'm like, I might as well get a piece of that. And it doesn't matter whether it's $5 or 5 cents. Mm-hmm. It's just the principle of it. Some of that belongs to me because I did the work. So
yeah,
I don't make enough money off YouTube to buy a vinyl box set. Put it that way. So
yeah.
Barely buy 2 records, but it is what it is. Chris is saying his shorts are averaging 700 to 1,000. Yeah, that's about what mine get to.
Yeah.
I'd make shorts, but it's winter my ass off.
I saw that one on the side.
Richard, how you doing, man? Welcome. Chris says, I love the way when YouTube sends me a survey, what we can do. Pay me more, you bastard. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. So tonight we're talking geography. Hence my little ticker there. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? You guys remember that cheesy computer game from like the
I
late
do
80s?
remember. Well, yeah, that, and actually I remember more the animated series than the computer games. So.
And then there was a kids game show as well based off of that was on like PBS.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, that's right too.
Yep. So this was Daryl's idea, and it was sort of I hope I interpreted it right. Songs or albums about places, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's pretty much it. I approached it in a way where most of the lyrics of my songs have something to do with some location or something like that. I didn't go with band names, or unintentionally if I did.
I got a little mix of everything, but that's the way we roll around this joint.
It is.
Right? Yeah.
I found it was very easy this week. I'd go to bed at night the last few days, and I'd think of like 10 of them, and I'd remember one of them in the morning, and I just pulled the bunch tonight. So I've got way more than what we need, but if you pull it, you show it.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to an age where, because I'll do that as soon as we decide what we're talking about. There's the first 2 or 3 that come to mind. I just send myself a text, so at least it's there, and it's like, oh man, what was that? Because you always think of some good ones, or you think you do anyway, right off the bat. So yeah, I just send myself a text or an email, and away we go. So
I just open up the notes app on my phone, which you can't see because it's not going to focus on, I just keep a running tab of what I'm going to show.
There you go.
Darren says, I love watching this show as a TV show. Good Lord. There's got to be something better on than us, man. It's totally interesting and intriguing. I'll pay you with an album as far as my Nielsen ratings go. Yeah. There you go.
We're up against what rating would we get, though, do you think? NC-17? I don't know, PG-13 maybe? Guess it depends usually.
S for silly, I guess. The Beatles are releasing their own Crocs, like the stupid rubber shoes. I don't get Crocs to begin with. I think it's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah. I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Richard had about 20 more albums that he didn't show last week. Last week's was hard. What the hell was last week's topic anyway? I don't even remember.
Jesus. I don't know. That was last week, and
I barely remember what I did yesterday. So,
what the hell did we do last week, Richard? What did we do last week?
What did we do last week? I don't remember. It was something about something.
Yeah, I think it was about cold. Wasn't it about winter or cold or something?
Yeah, winter. Yeah, that's what it was. Winter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like to think of lots, and if we get to them, we get to them. But we always kind of do our speed round. But it just sucks putting them all away. We have to do. One of these times we have to do a 1-bin special. Take one of your bins, but you got to find one that's got, I guess, a little variety in it, like maybe the XYZ bin or something, and just pull 10 out of there, and it's just super easy to put them all back in later.
That's a great. Okay, that's our topic 2 weeks from now, because next week we're doing earworms.
Earworms, yeah, exactly. Earworms. So yeah, the 1-bin challenge, because we've all got our calyx or our version of a calyx. Right. So but we can't do. I've got 1 bin is Beatles. Yours 2 or 3 or 4 bins are Beatles, but maybe the XY. Well, maybe the XYZ.
I got three Beatles cubes.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think what we should do. What we should do is we should each, however many cubes we've got. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I got 18 cubes full of records. Yeah. And so I got 18. One of you will have to go, okay, Rob, you're doing bin 7. And you'll say, I have 37 cubes. I go, okay, you're doing number 16. And whatever it is, that's where we pull from.
Perfect. I like it.
2 weeks from now, everyone. Stay tuned for the 1-bin challenge 2 weeks from now.
That's right. The 1-bin challenge. I like it.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. All right, Carmen Sandiego, you might as well get us going. This was your idea, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. My idea, eh?
Let her rip.
All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in true Canadian style here, and I'm going to go with a K-Tel record because I don't have this song on a regular vinyl. So last week we talked about Stompin' Tom. I'm going to show some Stompin' Tom.
Yes, sir.
K-Tel record. Now, this K-Tel record I distinctly remember this from when I was a kid. My dad had this one, My Kind of Country, with the map of Canada on it. And on this album, there's a song called My Stompin' Grounds by Stompin' Tom Connors. And if you want a Canadian provincial geography lesson,
that's the one.
Then that song defines it. A taste of PEI and Old Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, Quebec and Newfoundland, Alberta and Manitoba, Ontario and BC. And there you've got my stomping grounds for all my friends and me. So there you go.
I like that.
First pick, Stompin' Tom, my stomping grounds. One of the most boring looking backs of a K-Tel record, but hey, it's even got Wilf Carter's Blue Canadian Rockies on here too. So there you go. It's even got some
Murray McLaughlin.
Murray McLaughlin, Mercy Brothers, City of New Orleans. So there's some cities that are on here. So this one's full on geography there, I guess.
That's good.
So
I saw Ronnie Prophet on the back there as well. Did he have a variety show everywhere, or was it just a Saskatchewan thing? I'm sure Prophet had a variety show of some sort for a while, but
I'm not sure. Like even Anne Murray made this album. That's crazy. This is a 20 song. This is 10 songs per side on this one.
Yeah, they're about this big. They're like three. They're just 3 parts. Yeah, they're just 3 rotations of the album each. That's all it is. It's the sampler.
Yeah, you sneeze and you miss the song.
So yeah, we'll start it off, like I said, with a Canadian geography lesson for you all right there.
Perfect.
Very good.
My stomping grounds.
Normally I go last, but I'm going to go second because I'm going to do one hot on the heels of Daryl that is of the same theme. So for continuity's sake, I'm going next. How's that? So this is an album called Countrywide Soul by Jim Cuddy. And the title track, Countrywide Soul, it's actually the second time he recorded it. He recorded it on an album around about 2005 or something. That was called The Light That Guides You Home. It is a very electric version. And then he re-recorded it for this album in 2019, which was kind of an acoustic version. But nonetheless, Countrywide Soul is also a Canadian geography lesson, basically. Same theme as Daryl's. It's just kind of about a guy kind of traveling across the country, soul searching. And I'll just quote one of the verses here. It says, driving through the night under prairie stars, listening to a band in a St. John's bar, down by the water on the Halifax shore, listening to the wind and the ocean roar, freight train rolling through the Great Divide, the magic in the mushrooms of PEI, all in your countrywide soul. It has all that imagery of whatever. So very similar to what Daryl came up with. So there you go.
Did it say magic mushrooms? Is that what it said?
But it's not meaning hallucinogenic mushrooms. PEI is known. It's an island province, and it's known for growing mushrooms that you eat in salads and shit, and potatoes. I'm sure they grow the hallucinogenic kind too, but that's not what he's talking about.
Yeah,
that's the only kind in my book.
Whatever floats your boat, man. John, you want to go next?
Sure.
All right. The floor is yours.
This one's a place I've never been, but boom. London Calling. So I started doing this this afternoon, because I had to get all these albums, thinking about all the, what am I going to pull? So I pulled out my trusty Canadian mug that I got at Goodwill.
There you go.
That's good.
Filled it up and got inspired. But as I started kind of looking into these songs, I want to get a little more information about some things. And now I went down a freaking rabbit hole. So you cut me off, I get long-winded, but I'm finding out all this information about all these songs. And I thought it was kind of cool. But, I just think I never knew anything about the title, London Calling, or where it came from or anything like that. But it was, so the song London Calling was written by Joe Strummer and Mick Jones. But the title alludes to a BBC World Services station identification. This is London Calling, which was used during World War II after broadcasted to occupied countries. So I didn't know they kind of took this from something else. I had no idea. but they're talking about like the lines in the song, and it's referring to there's a line in there about phony Beatlemania has bitten the dust, and it reflects the concerns of the band, because I guess at that point in like by 77, I didn't realize that punk rock music was kind of dying out. So there's references in the song about kind of like that happening, and they're trying to decide, where are they going to go as a band if punk rock is dead. And I didn't realize that was going on, because this is, this has a punk feel, but it's definitely more like they bring in the horns, they bring in R&B. There's all kinds of stuff in here. So I guess that was kind of like their answer. They had concerns about the whole thing, but they answered it by putting out a pretty damn good album. And the Clash always had like that, that punky, his voice, kind of fit the punk thing. But they were always like different. They brought in the organ, all kinds of different stuff. So, but yeah, I just thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, what was the line in there? Yeah, it's just London calling to the underworld. Come out of the cupboard, you boys and girls. London calling. Don't look at us. Phony Beatlemania has bitten the dust. So they got inspired, even though their genre was kind of fading out. They found a way to keep going. So, but this is a great album. Love this. I had this on CD years ago. Never listened to it. Probably got rid of it. And then getting back into vinyl. Somebody's playing it in a record store, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, "Had no idea." Pretty crazy.
It was pretty cross generic. You're right. Like, they are definitely considered to be punk, but there's reggae in there. There's there's a lot of things going on, and that, I love all their albums, but that's their, it's a stupid phrase, that's their Sgt. Pepper's. That's their, took it all and put it all together. And then, Rock the Casbah later and things like that still had some flavor of that. But that was certainly, I guess, if they didn't turn a page, but it was different than the earlier, and it was like, pretty seminal, I think, for the time. I mean, I had buddies that were just, I really liked it, but I had buddies that were just losing their friggin' minds when that album came out. It was, I feel it was equivalent to the day that Sgt. Pepper came out for Beatles fans, the day that London Calling came out for Clash fans. It seemed like that. So
wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
yep, definitely one of my favorites. Not a bad track.
All right, Joe, what you got?
All right, I'm just going to go right on the nose, and I'm just going to go with these guys, because why not? But I did pull out all three. So this is Third Stage, and they always had awesome album covers, and it was good. It was one of those, they weren't quite Tool lengths of time between albums, but it was pretty damn close between the second one and this one. But that was a great album. I really enjoyed that one. And then, of course, the second album, much like The Shirt, and really fantastic album. But we'll go right all the way back to the beginning, and the first, and not only obviously the name Boston, but again, one of the things that came to mind when we decided that we were going to do this, for some reason I started singing Rock and Roll Band. They're dancing in the streets of Hyannis, which obviously is Hyannis, Massachusetts, right? So it's a twofer, all on one album, as the kids like to say, but really, really good. This one was pretty damn amazing when it came out as well, because you put it on and there's just not a bad note. And then you listen to it 5 years later, and I think everything was a single. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad, but they could have just started playing the whole album at some point, and probably did on some FM stations. They just put it on and just played the whole thing on classic rock stations, because it's so very, very well done. I did get a chance to see them as well, actually, after Third Stage came out. Good stuff. They're still out touring, obviously, not the same guys anymore. But, and was there a fourth? I don't know if there was an album after Third Stage. I don't remember for sure. And if there was, it really left, obviously, no impression, or I'd probably have it, because although Third Stage is not the equivalent of this one and the first one, it's still a pretty decent album, and it's still very much a Boston type album as well. So yeah, we'll just go right on the nose. We'll just go with Boston right to start with. So
I think that third one, wow, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're showing like 6 albums by Boston.
Is there?
Yeah.
Like I said, I guess, I don't know. The rest didn't really leave much of an impression after that, because I enjoyed all of them. It definitely wasn't a band that I bought for the singles that came off, but I don't know. Maybe that was in the CD era. Maybe I've got some CDs because Third Stage would have been near the end of ish, of vinyl. When were those other ones?
Yeah, Third Stage was 86, I think. It had that. The only song I remember coming off there was that Amanda or something.
Amanda, yeah. Yep. So there you go. A little Boston, and yes, in answer to the question, I'm pretty darn sure that Boston was from Boston. Cool the Engines might have been a single too, kind of, or at least it's a deep track that I always think of when I think of that album as well. So, ta-da!
Good
There
one.
you go. Well done. And negligent in the comments, so give me a minute to get caught up on a few of the comments. Poor Chris, he's saying that the missus said to him, time to paint the record room, so he's got to pull everything out. You poor bastard.
Just paint around everything.
Yeah, exactly. Darren said he just bought 16 albums from Mike Records on Wheels. Yeah, I miss that store. I know he's still selling online, but man, I miss the store. I need a new Calax, looking at a third 4x2. I worry about the time I have to get another one because I don't really have the room for it. Stompin' Tom, that's twice in 2 videos. Well,
2 weeks in a row.
Maybe we should find a way to make it 3 weeks. I got to get some Stompin' Tom.
There might be some more Stompin' Tom coming up. I just wanted to get Boston out of the way. So there might be some more.
There better be some Bud. There's got to be some Bud the Spud. We got to give some love to the potato.
I think it is. I can't remember. I pulled a couple. I've got 3. I've only pulled a couple of them, but yeah. So.
Record Hound says he has that K-Tel record and My Stomping Grounds. Cool. I really need to get some. Joe might know this, or Rob. Why did they give you more vinyl, less songs on each side? So they can space the grooves out so they allegedly get better sound quality. But I'm with you. It's a pain in the ass to flip a record every 3 songs. That annoys the hell out of me. So,
yeah, I've gotten away from that.
Inner groove distortion, absolutely.
Yep.
Curtis is clarifying that they do have magic mushrooms in PEI. So there you go.
I saw that. Yeah.
Thanks, Curtis. A big applause for London Calling. Record Down says the longer A side is, the quieter you have to press it. Then you run into louder surface noise and maybe feedback. Yeah, that's an answer to the why do we have less songs. Trevor saying that bass Paul Simonon, is that how you would pronounce his name? Simonon? Sure. His smashing is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's cool.
Yeah, talking about the Elvis tribute, right?
That one? What are we talking about?
There you go. Yeah.
I realize that in bass. I never paid attention to the picture. Huh.
That's Joe. I don't have look back on the Friday music label, and I have to say it's truly insane. But then again, any Canadian pressing is amazing. There you go. MGK Boston's ears are burning. I wonder if he'll change his channel name. I keep telling him he should, so who knows?
I think it's stuck on Boston. It sure seems to be, but
it must be. Yeah. FVA, welcome, sir. How you doing, man? Look who it is, Alex.
Saw that.
My friends were big into Boston in high school. I remember we were all hanging out, and it was announced Brad Delp has taken his life. We were devastated. Yeah, we all have those moments when we hear the news about certain people.
Yep.
Journey, as short as it is my absolute favorite Boston tune. There you go. Alex is here. Woohoo. I agree. That's why I say woohoo.
That's right.
Am I going to buy the new Oasis single on vinyl? No, I am not. If it was something actually new, and unless there's something I don't know about, but it's like there. Did I not hear that there's like a new? I knew that they were doing like a 7-inch of something, the 40th or 30th anniversary of something, but is it like a new song? Because enlighten me, Chris. I don't know what that's all about.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but
because if it's something new, then fuck yeah, I'll buy it. But the only single I remember a couple of weeks ago, they were going to do a 7-inch anniversary of I don't even remember what song it was. So I was going to pass on that, but enlighten me because maybe I missed the news. That's entirely possible. I tend to try and bury my head in the sand as much as possible. So there you go. Round 2, Daryl.
All right. So I've got a twofer, Canadian artist plus band. So John, you showed your glass. I'm going to show mine.
All right.
It's my my Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics mug that I got there. So I'm going to kind of segue using Vancouver and probably this artist who, we'll talk about it again because I know Rob likes talking about this. He had an amazing experience with this guy this year. And I'm going to go with the most obvious song by him, and that's Tom Cochrane's Life is a Highway. So I'll go with the Mad Mad World album. And there's a line, if you're not familiar with the song, where he talks about, he goes from Mozambique to those Memphis nights, the Khyber Pass to Vancouver's lights. So basically he's traveling all over the place, Africa, Asia, Vancouver, Memphis, Tennessee. And so, yeah, I would start off with that. So Life is a Highway. I'm not sure. I'm not overly familiar, obviously, with the who covered that song there, that country band? I can't even remember it now.
Is it like Roadhammers or something?
No, Roadhammers would be a good cover. I think it was not Florida Georgia Line.
The Cars movie. The one from the Cars movie. I don't know. Did they keep the same lyrics?
No, they got rid of. They kept all the other ones, but they got rid of Vancouver.
Yeah, it's Rascal Flatts.
Rascal Flatts. Yeah, so I went with that. And then
that always bugged me. Why would you get rid of Vancouver, but you're going to keep? I see why I keep in Memphis because it's American, but the other one's Mozambique. Why don't you change that to St. Petersburg, Florida? Why get rid of Vancouver? Fucking idiot.
It's weird, eh? Yeah, and of course, I mean, Tom Cochrane, part of Red Rider. And this is one of Rob's favorite covers of all time.
Oh, man.
I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Far as Siam.
Shit.
And in the lyrics to As Far as Siam, I just got to bring it up here. I'm trying to remember. I didn't do my geography lesson on this one. Siam was what? That was Southeast Asia. Eh?
Yeah, it's in like Vietnam or Korea or something.
Yeah. And in the song, though, I mean, it talks about Boca Raton, Old Taiwan, As Far as Siam, arrived in Hong Kong with all our money gone. So that's a straight up, Asian set of lyrics. A lot of Asian countries. Obviously, Hong Kong belongs back to kind of their own thing there, but they used to be a British colony at one time and all that. So I've always found that these geography songs are pretty neat. I mean, me as a kid listening to these types of songs, I don't know why. I love maps and historical maps and geography and stuff. One of my sons, he's got autism and he can tell you where anything is on a map of the world. And so I'm just fascinated by it. So anytime I hear a song with a lyric, and Tom Cochrane's got plenty of them.
Well, yeah. There's Cowboys in Hong Kong's on that album, and then they were selling rifles to the thieves in Tanzania. There's another, right? Like, yeah, Tom was awesome. Is awesome. He hasn't written anything for a while. That's why I guess I said was, because I'd love to see some new material. I think he could probably pull it off because he had some great lyrics. And if we had $1 for every time we said positive things about Tom Cochrane, we could buy some Tom Cochrane and Red Rider box sets. But
we'd have more money than we make on YouTube.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. But that's all right. He's worthy of the praise. That's for sure.
Every bit of it. Every bit of it. I guess that means it's my turn then, right? And
you are up.
Yeah, you're not.
I haven't even prepared. Okay, I'll show this one. Let me make myself large here. I'm going to continue the CanCon theme here. Matt Mays, his self-titled release from 2002. I can't believe that this record is 23 years old already. I mean, not on vinyl. It only came out on vinyl like 8 years ago, but CD, when this album was released, was 23 years ago. There's a song on here called "The City of Lakes." Does anyone know what the City of Lakes is? Curtis should know this one in the comments.
No, I don't. Because if it's in Canada, I know a city that's got a lot of lakes, but yeah, so
it's Halifax, Dartmouth, the City of Lakes.
Okay.
Matt is from Hamilton. That's where he was born, but he grew up. He was raised in Halifax and Dartmouth. Yes, here you go, Dartmouth. Dartmouth is a suburb of Halifax, I believe. Like Mississauga is a suburb of Toronto, I think. I've only ever been there once, and it was only for a day. So Curtis can correct me if I'm wrong, but and so like every city kind of has a nickname, and Dartmouth is the City of Lakes, and so this song, "The City of Lakes," is kind of Matt's paying homage to his basically adopted hometown where he grew up. Doesn't live there anymore. Actually lives just about 40 minutes from me, just outside of Hamilton now. But probably this is the song that first got me into Matt Mays. It's one of his earlier songs, and it's kind of rootsy before he went, real loud rock and roll. But it's still a rock song, and it's just about his love of Dartmouth. So there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
John.
All right. So the place in this is a river. I don't know the name of the river, but it's in the album. It's called Somewhere Along the Crazy.
Ooh, good one.
Somewhere Down the Crazy River. I remember when the song came on. It's the first time I ever saw it was MTV. They played the video. It was so different because it's spoken word, a lot of it, and then he gets into it. And I forgot who the other guy that comes along and sings with him. Really,
it's the guys from the Bodines.
Yeah, really cool, distinct voice. Like really fit.
Yeah.
It fit the song perfectly. Kind of gave it that, just what it needed. I don't know, the way it was produced by Lanois and all that, just like perfect. Of course, while I'm going through down my little rabbit hole, I'm looking, and that video was actually directed by.
There's my Robbie Robertson autograph, since you're holding up a Robbie Robertson record.
Goes right there.
There you go.
The video was directed by Martin Scorsese. Actually, it was like his second music video he'd ever directed. He directed Michael Jackson's Bad. I didn't know that. But he directed this, and in the video is I know her name. I'm drawing a blank now. What's her name? Hold on.
I can't remember.
Maria McKee, right? Is that her name?
I believe you.
Oh, see, I wanted to tell you guys this, and now where did my freaking notes go? Well, anyway, from Lone Star, that Maria McKee or something. You got to sin to be saved. Isn't that her name, Maria McKee?
No idea.
She's Canadian.
There's 40 million of us. We don't know them all.
Come on, man. Oh, I can't believe I lost my notes. But anyway,
if it is in fact from that from Lone Justice, it is Maria McKee. Yes, and not because I know that, because I looked it up. So
okay, yeah, it is
Maria McKee. There you go.
Yeah, she got this album called "You Got to Sin to Be Saved." You can only get it on CD, but it's a great CD if you find it. I can't find it on album, but anyway, I want to know the kind of like the background of this, and can you go, please? I know. Go. I'm getting a lot of interruptions tonight. So anyway, it goes back to a time when he's hanging out with Levon Helm in Arkansas. All right, you guys go ahead and let somebody else go. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. Joe.
All right. We'll give you a little geographical Saskatchewan going on here. I've got a couple of things. So first up, there is a song. Excuse me. There is a song actually called Regina, written about Regina, which is where I am. There's more than one, or it's mentioned in more than one, but I don't have any of it. But the Sugar Cubes, so Björk's band from Iceland, not to be confused with Daryl's Icelandic music that we will hear about at some point, maybe. They wrote a song about Regina. I have no idea why for sure, but she did. Or they did. And then, like I say, it gets mentioned a couple of times. There are no bands from Regina that talk about or that I could remember or find where they mentioned Regina. So with that said, there is a band called Humphrey and the Dump Trucks, and they are a band out of Saskatoon. And this album is actually called Saskatoon. So the other big city in Saskatchewan and in the province that I grew up in. And I grew up, most of my predominant years were in Saskatoon. And I can't even remember what else is on here. But it's kind of folky, kind of 70s rock a little bit. I think they had 5 albums. One's called Gopher Suite. So it is very, very Saskatchewan. It's not Stompin' Tom Canadian Saskatchewan, but it's pretty close. So there you go. So Humphrey and the Dump Trucks, and they've got 3 or 4 or 5. Anyway, that's the album Saskatoon, and then there is actually a song called Saskatoon on there as well. There is another reference to, there's a couple of people have referenced Saskatoon, but I won't mention it till later in case you guys have it planned. And then we got Stompin' Tom. So there is... Actually, there's the full album of my Stomping Grounds. So it's actually got my Stomping Grounds, and it's even autographed. It's not, well, it is autographed, but it's not real. It's not real ink. But what else is on here? Yeah, Songs of the Peddler, Song of Coho, which has to be something as well. Tilsonburg. So there's a little Stompin' Tom. Yeah, we're gonna bring up Stompin' Tom. But on here. So there he goes through the different provinces. There's actually, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is actually specifically a song called Roll On Saskatchewan. And that's kind of the way that it goes. It's just Roll On Saskatchewan. So yeah, Stompin' Tom, again, we talked about it before, but if there's anybody new here, he's one of those guys that I came around to eventually. When I was younger, it was like, what is this? I'm not, and then all of a sudden I got it, and then I thoroughly enjoy it. I can put it on, and it's just fantastic. So it's good stuff.
Very good. Yeah. I got to digress for a second, just because I don't think I've ever told you this, Joe, but back in the 1920s, I don't know if you knew this, but the Canadian government was giving away land grants in Saskatchewan. So if you wanted to homestead in Saskatchewan, you would get free land. Right. And my family did that, and my grandfather was actually born a few hundred kilometers away from Regina. There's a little town in western Saskatchewan called Atonia, named after the Eaton Company.
Okay,
you heard of it?
I think so. I don't know.
Northwest of you and southwest of Saskatoon, so that's where part of my family is from. So
nice. I don't know that I've been.
It's kind of one of those blink and you miss it kind of things, apparently. And my grandfather said growing up there, he didn't see his first tree until he was 12 years old. Because there just wasn't any trees.
Yeah, that'll happen, definitely. So, there's a lot of blink and you'll miss them towns, but that's okay. It's good. Yeah. There's a couple of bigger places, but some of those little blink and you'll miss them towns are fun to go and explore when you're camping. And we won't get into the camping thing, but it was something that we always did do, is we made sure we went and we kind of tried to find a little bit of the history. If there was a museum, we would go through it, and it would be very much the same from small town to small town, but it was always good. So
there you go. I don't know whereabouts we were in the comments, but Darren was talking about Robbie Robertson that John was showing. Fallen Angel with Peter Gabriel, and a great song with U2. I'm not sure what 5 LP box set we're talking about there. I must have missed that comment somewhere. Richard's asking, what genre of music is Matt Mays? Straight up rock and roll. Yeah. Straight up rock and roll. I don't really know anything like it. I mean, it's I don't know.
Yeah, I think starting point's probably Cocaine Cowgirl.
Yeah, that'd be the song to start with, for sure. Let's see here. Young LP lovers. It's the dark side, as it's often referred to by the Haligonians. The east side of the harbor is a bit more industrial, the working class side, in reference to Dartmouth and Halifax. Yeah. I've only ever been once. I went for a work trip to Dartmouth, and I flew in first thing in the morning. I had meetings all day, and then I flew home at night. It made for a very long day. It was like a 20-hour day, but it's only like a 2.5-hour flight. So I didn't get any time to go explore other than the traveling between meetings that day. But I got to get out there one of these days. Thankfully, I don't have sales responsibility over Eastern Canada, but yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, isn't this true? Every time Joe says where he's from, all I can hear in my head is vagina. That's all every one of us hears. Unfortunately, it's
yes, yes, and there. So, if you look up on YouTube and or the internet, there is a song called "Experience Regina," and it is a total parody. It's a couple people that came here and then they went home and they made this song called "Experience Regina," and it's all totally tongue in cheek. But the Brain Trust down at City Hall last year thought we should take this song and make it our kind of our city's anthem or whatever. But of course, everybody that experienced vagina, not Regina, like it was just the stupidest idea. But anyway, and then every time someone comes to town in a band, and I think it's associated with Jagger that he was the first one, but I doubt that. Is that it's the city that rhymes with fun. So that he was the first one to say that, and everybody, comedians say that, frontmen and bands say that. It gets a little old, but yes, it is the proper way to say it because that is the pronunciation, which is about the Queen, because Regina is whatever it is for Queen. It's yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I know vagina. We know. We get it. We know.
if you look on the back of any Canadian coin from the 1950s onward, as Queen Elizabeth on the back, it has Elizabeth DG Regina.
Yeah, that's right.
Now the new coins will have the king on it, so that's good. Richard is saying the Sugar Cubes have a song called Regina, and it's a super song.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Sure. Like I said, I just I have some Bjork, but I didn't have anything Sugar Cubes. So
a little bit south of Saskatoon by Sonny James.
Yeah, I can kind of sing it in my head, but I didn't have that one. I can't completely place it, but now that you mentioned it, yes. So
Ryan says he found 13 by Stompin' Tom at a thrift store today. I have never seen and I mentioned this last week, I've never seen a Stompin' Tom record in the wild ever. The minute that I do, I'll buy the damn thing for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Darren's asking FVA, saying, I just thought being a prog fan, you would have us about the Rush box set. Oh, that's the box set they're talking about. Sure. You guys have seen the new Rush box set that's coming out?
Have not.
Yeah, they just announced it this week. It's 5 albums, something like that. So I don't know all the details. I like Rush, but I don't need to own any Rush. So I don't have any of the details on it. So JWG Moore. Well, since you brought this up, I'm just going to have to show it right now real quick.
Yeah,
I can jump out of turn because I'm steering this shit. So
that's right.
Well, it's not my turn, but I'm going to make it my turn because, let's live life on the wild side. From Winnipeg, Manitoba, a band that did a song called Running Back to Saskatoon. And it's a great song. They did a whole tour, actually, when they did the first reunion tour with Bachman, Cummings, Cale, and Peterson, which happened in the late 90s, which was the first rock concert I ever went to. They called it the Running Back Across Canada tour, kind of in honor of that song. But I don't know. I don't remember what studio album that was on.
I went to look for it, and I don't think it is. And there's a couple of different versions of Greatest Hits. The K-Tel one, it's on the K-Tel one, but it's not on the animated hockey one. It's not on that. Yeah, it's on there, Joe. But it's on that one. But I don't think it was on a studio album, because even if you go and look it up, it's always just the 7-inch and then that Greatest Hits as well. I mean,
there's the live version on this, which is live at the Paramount.
Yeah, and it wasn't just it wasn't just a song here. Obviously, you guys are familiar with it, so it's not like they only played it in Saskatchewan because it mentions Saskatoon and Moosomin and some of the other. So not Moosonee, but Moosomin.
Moosomin.
Let's just point it out here.
That's right.
I think I've been to Moosomin actually.
Have you? Yeah. And what about Moose Jaw? We got moose all over the place in this province.
Yeah, I've been to Moose Jaw.
Yeah, good.
I've been to Battleford.
Battleford, yeah. Yep.
All right, here's the answer.
And
This is the only album it appears on.
There you go.
It wasn't on a studio album. So there you go.
Wow.
John, you have missed a very in-depth discussion about Saskatchewan.
What did I
Yes.
miss?
Yeah.
We have talked this entire time that you've been away about Saskatchewan. I shit you not.
Oh, well, okay. See,
Yeah.
something is pulling me away. Something is pulling me away.
I don't know that anyone has ever talked this much about Saskatchewan.
I don't think so. I did the one video about Saskatchewan, so that was that was about it. I don't think anybody's ever discussed it.
I don't know if
live.
any of you have. I don't have any on vinyl or CD, but the Arrogant Worms and Captain Tractor also did the last Saskatchewan Pirate too.
Yep, they
Lots
did.
of songs about Saskatchewan.
Yep.
I think
That,
the only. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say the last Saskatchewan Pirate is the fourth quarter stretch at the football games. That's always where everybody gets up and does the stretch in the fourth quarter. They've been playing that for about 20. Well, since it's been out, it's become the fourth quarter stretch.
I think the only thing that needs to be said to bookmark and wrap up this discussion about Saskatchewan is to say the great thing about Saskatchewan is it's so flat you can watch your dog run away for a week. Right?
Yes, you can. Hard to say, easy to draw.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yes, the sheepdogs are also from Saskatchewan. Yes, they are.
They are, and I have some sheepdog records.
Yeah.
And I've met one of the sheepdogs, but he had already left the sheepdogs and joined another band, which I'm not allowed to mention. So, let's see. Oh, this was the box set they were talking about, the Genesis, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. See, the comment section's having their own discussion that we're not even a part of. So.
Yeah.
Continue, folks. We're just happy you're here, so it's all good.
Exactly.
Chris is saying he'd be happy with the Rush greatest hits, to be honest, and then he's done. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I mean, if there's a Rush song on the radio, I'm going to enjoy it, but I don't have the urge to put on a Rush record, and I don't have any anyway. So, Richard saying the R50 deluxe box set is absolutely stupid money. Lots of unreleased stuff. There you go. Running back to Saskatoon and Albert Flashshore hits from the live LP. Okay, fair enough. That clarifies it. Cool. Chris saying he saw Rush at Wembley for the Foo Fighters drummer gig house of Paul McCartney. There was AC/DC, The Darkness, Liam Gallagher was there. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
I'm speaking of The Darkness. The new album's coming out in like a month and a half. I'm crazy excited.
That's right.
The new single sounds awesome. The Sheepdogs, yeah, we talked about them. Arrogant Worms, yes. I saw that Rush 50 box set. Terrible way to soak money off, folks. Should have made it more of a rare live stuff as opposed to a compilation. Yeah. Sheepdogs are amazing. Yes, they are. And he agrees. All right, we're all caught up. You all good now, John? Do you want to finish Robbie, or are we just going to move on to the next round?
Well, I didn't finish my leave on story, so yeah.
Yeah, we'll put you back up here then.
Because it answered some questions for me, how the Canadians met the Americans and all that.
Right. Ronnie Hawkins, that's the answer.
Yeah, so I didn't know all that. I figured you would know. Anyway, this is Maria McKee, who I was talking about. No, she's not Canadian. I thought she was. She's from California. But if you see this album, remember the band, the Jayhawks?
Yeah.
They back her up on this album, and it is killer. It's the only album I own by her. She was with the band Lone Justice. That's who I was trying to think of. But yeah, if you ever see this, and it's probably cheap, people don't really know about it, it's a really good album. So check that out. But she's in the video. That's why I brought it up. She's just kind of dancing around the video that Scorsese directed. But so then you know the story, Rob. So he goes down to Arkansas with, what's his name? Hawkins there?
Ronnie Hawkins.
Yeah, who's American, but I guess he spent a lot of time in Canada.
So the story goes, he was, I don't know, he's from, I don't know if it's Alabama or Louisiana, somewhere deep south. And he had a band called the Hawks, which Levon was the drummer. And he was not having great success, but he heard that there was kind of a booming music scene up in Toronto. So he went up and played some shows in Toronto with the Hawks, although Levon was the only one that actually followed him north. And he met with some success, so he decided to move to Toronto, and he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the rest of his life. So when he and Levon came to Toronto, he lived there the r to Toronto, they recruited a group of local musicians. Local, they're from Stratford, Ontario, and that was the band. But they were at that time Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks. But eventually, they didn't have the name the band until Music from Big Pink came out. But yeah,
that was kind of a fluke, right? They just kind of needed a name or something. And
well, actually, I saw a video with Levon just recently, and he's saying when they signed their record with signed their record deal with Capitol, they signed it. The name of the band was the Crackers. In the how white people are called crackers. That's how they intended it, and Capitol didn't really catch on. But on Music with Big Pink, nowhere does it say the band. It just says Music from Big Pink, and then in the liner notes it says the band with a colon and lists everybody.
Oh yeah,
and it just kind of stuck. And they also, whenever they would play somewhere, people go, "Who's that?" Oh, that's the band. They didn't have a name, and it just kind of stuck. That's the story that Levon tells, anyway.
Okay, so they meet up, and I guess Robbie spends some time. He's only like 16, I think. He goes down to Arkansas. He's really young because he was already he was working in like a carnival at 14 or something. But the Robbie Robertson story, that's what you came here for. But anyway, so somewhere along the crazy river, so it's him and Levon, and they're hanging out. Do you know the story of the song?
No.
Okay, so they're hanging out and together, and then during hot nights in which they were fishing with dynamite,
of course, as one would.
Easy.
They're going along, and somebody comes along, and they want to know about a spot. So Levon goes, they tell him, they ask a question. Somebody goes, somewhere along the crazy river is the answer to the spot they're looking for. So that just stuck in Robbie's head, I guess, for years, but it just kind of popped back up, and he wrote a whole song, which is like a really poetic song. If you look at the lyrics, it's really, really cool how he, like I said, it was spoken word, and then he gets into the melody and it comes back. So it was so different at the time. I remember that coming out. I was like, I don't know what to do with this song, but it always stuck in my head. So
what's the rest of the album like? I've never heard it. I just know the single.
I mean, it's Land Watch right along the time of Joshua Tree. So it has Atmosphere. Broken Arrow is on here also, that big hit from him.
Sure.
But there's not and U2's on here, backing up a couple on here.
I need to get that record, being such a fan of the band.
Oh, I didn't even think about it for years, and I saw it and I'm like, whatever, and I knew about the songs, and I'm like, whatever, and finally it was cheap. I grabbed it. It's even a old cutout.
Sure.
Friggin', I'm like, why haven't I listened to this album before?
I just saw it once at the record show just this past fall that I was at with Jeff from Speaker's Corner, and I saw it, but I'd already blown whatever I'd taken, and I'm like, I don't have any money to buy it, so I just let it sit there, and I've never seen it since.
Yeah, you got to grab it. It's good.
Yeah, the fact that you don't have that album is one of the great surprises of my life. Honestly, like I know that sounds dumb, but that is one that you 100% should have, because you will love every note of that album. It's very, very good.
Oh, it's so good. It's Lanois at its best. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, U2, Lanois, and the band. It's got everything. It's the perfect song that I would like.
There you go.
Yeah.
Whereabouts are we here? Okay. Chris is going to ask me a serious question. I wondered about this. I was thinking of doing a live stream with people from the UK. They're just started a YouTube channel.
Yeah, do it. Just tell us when. We'll watch it.
Do it. We use StreamYard. It's easy to use. Set it up. It's free. I use the paid version, but pretty easy, man. If you want to chat about it, let me know. We can chat offline about it. Happy to help you out.
You got nothing to lose.
Do it. Yeah, as we're saying, most of us use StreamYard for doing live stream. There's a free version that works well. The best value for any Rushbox set is moving pictures. You get the album, and of course, you get the full Toronto show on 5 LPs. To me, that's value. All right, here we go. This is the root of it all. Ronnie Hawkins was told about Toronto by Harold Jenkins, later known as Conway Twitty. Okay, I wondered who tipped off Hawkins.
So his name was Harold Jenkins, which is pretty normal, and he changes it to Conway Twitty.
Sure, why not?
Sure, yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
I think it would work. Well, that's not a good stage name either.
Yeah.
Harold Jenkins, ladies and gentlemen.
It's better than a lot of Regina. Let's see. Obviously, when the band named themselves, they had no idea how difficult. Exactly, because they didn't think about how hard it would be to Google. They're like looking for band records, on eBay, and you type in the band. Well, shit, it could be anything, right? They didn't think about Google in 1970, whatever. Darren saying somewhere along the Crazy River, such an amazing song. Q107 used to play it endlessly. I remember it all the time on Much Music too. Like I remember that video.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the guys that sing background in that, again, the Bodines, you should look for that, John, or give that a listen, because you're right. He has a very distinct voice. It's very good, and it is. I think maybe they are Native American. They've got a little bit of that flavor in their music, but I think having a bit of an idea of what you like to listen to, I think you would enjoy it. So yeah, seek out a little bit of Bodines. If they had a hit, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's good stuff though. So, and I don't even know where to start. It doesn't really matter. They didn't stray too far from album to album. So
it's funny. I mean, this is the Robbie album to own, and Darren thinks I need to have that.
Yep.
I love the band and everybody in it, but the only solo stuff I got a lot of Levon solo stuff because I love Levon. I love Robbie too, but I guess I just got turned off of him because he's such an asshole.
Yeah. Well,
he got pretty political at one point.
It's not even that. What pissed me off is he was. I mean, Garth just died last week. Rest in peace, sir. But Garth would never say anything. But Robbie was the last one alive, essentially, that would say anything. So he kind of rewrote the story to make himself look a certain way, but he was a bit of a dick to them, screwed them over for a lot of publishing, and just, by all accounts was not a nice person. So aside from his politics or whatever, I would just always thought, he wanted nothing to do with the band in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. He couldn't give two shits about them. Till he realized that he could change the narrative and all of a sudden make a lot of money on reissues and the book and the movie and all that kind of stuff. That just kind of turned me off of Robertson. Love him as a guitar player. So I guess I just never got into his solo stuff for that reason, I guess. I just always preferred Levon stuff because if you listen to Robbie's voice and you listen to Levon's voice, I'll listen to Levon sing any day of the week over Robbie. Robbie, to me, is a guitar player and a songwriter, not necessarily a singer. But having said that, I haven't heard his solo album, so what the hell do I know?
Mm-hmm.
Darren's saying Sting is an asshole, but I love his music. Yeah, I guess you got to kind of separate that, right? So the Bodines open for a lot of shows on the U2 Joshua Tree tour. I didn't know that. Cool.
I did not either.
All right. Boy, we're taking a lot of time here, which is fine. We got to speed it up because we got a lot of records. Daryl, sorry, man. I keep you hanging here. So you're up.
Here we go. This is going to come as a shocker because everybody knows that I don't really like this band, much to Rob's chagrin because he loves this band.
Uh-oh.
But I hardly ever show ABBA, but their song Waterloo. Yes, it's a Napoleonic Wars story, but it talks about, like, Waterloo was a location which I think, when I was reading about it, is now modern day Belgium.
Yep.
And that the whole song is about Napoleon, basically. And that, although some people say that Waterloo is a substitution for female parts or something, I have no idea. It's kind of a weird scenario, but yeah, this is the best of. Really, it's all the ABBA I need, but Waterloo is on here, and
Rob is now looking up.
I'm trying to figure this out. Where's the hoo-hoo part?
No, I'm not looking at that.
I am.
The song is not about female parts. What it is, the song is. I'm just was making sure I was right. The song is a metaphor where it's about, Waterloo is where Napoleon was defeated, and essentially this is a person who was in a relationship and did not end well for them. And in the same way that Napoleon met their Waterloo, the person singing the song also met their destiny in a similar fashion. So it's The Napoleon defeat at Waterloo is a metaphor for the end of a relationship with somebody. So.
I was reading about Napoleon today because I remember learning about him in school and stuff. But my God, that guy was like a player. He was just an arrogant prick for a leader. Just everything about the guy. But I mean, if I could go back and meet him and shake his hand, I don't know. And every time I think about Napoleon, I think about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and just how ridiculous they portrayed him in that. But yeah, Waterloo. I mean, for those of you that are not aware, there is a Waterloo in Ontario too. Although that song is not a reference to it.
15 minutes that way. All right, it's my turn. So let's. I don't know. I'm too busy talking and not busy planning what I'm going to show next. So let's do. Oh, I don't know. Let's do this one. Sure, why not? I may have shown this record 10 or 15 times before, but Springsteen's Nebraska. I mean, what were you going to say, Joe?
I left it for you. I didn't pull that one out. So
thank you. Yeah. I mean, there's a few geographic references on here. Nebraska, Atlantic City, Open All Night. Like Nebraska is a song about, and I'm going to get the facts not necessarily accurate, but essentially it was about a guy that went on a killing spree in Nebraska and he murdered a dozen people. I don't know the exact details. Open All Night is a song about essentially a midnight trip across the state of New Jersey to see someone's loved one. So there's a ton, and there's others on here too. But yeah, an album that has a lot of songs with geographical references. So there you go.
Yeah. I thought about briefly making everything I talked about Springsteen because he's got enough. You could have pulled 10 albums and or at least had 2 or 3 songs and or references off of each album. So I briefly thought about it, but I know people are probably getting tired of me talking about Bruce Springsteen, but I don't care.
Do you have anything to add to Nebraska, Joe?
No, just that it's unbelievably great. Listen to it again a little while ago. Reason to Believe, I think we talked about that before. Reason to Believe was one of my favorite. Thank Christ he did that one songs live. It was just him and Little Steven, and I know, I'm not going to go all the way into it, but it was just so good. It's such a fantastic album. I listened to, I just got The Letter, the most recent. Have you got that yet?
No, I don't yet. I have it digitally, but not on vinyl, no.
Really, really, really good as well. So
you like it? I had a hard time with that one. Such a hard
really?
time.
I found it fantastic. So
after Western Stars, it was kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to listen. Maybe I need to let it grow on me. I still have it, but yeah.
I think maybe part of it was because he did a few songs live from it as well. So it was, it's kind of fresh in my memory from that as well. Yeah. So there was the fondness of that. But yeah, I thought it held its own. But yeah, Nebraska's awesome. There's a great movie called Nebraska as well, which it doesn't have anything to do with anything. But I think it's what the hell? I can't remember his name. Anyway, look up the movie Nebraska. I'm not giving it a very good review, but it's an interesting movie. It has nothing to do with that, although I think maybe they referenced the album in it if I remember correctly. But it's a cool movie called Nebraska.
There you go.
Good story, Joe.
Just a few comments so I don't get too far behind. Daryl, oh my God, I love ABBA. I'm with you, Darren. Absolutely, man. The album I want is The Visitors at Half Speed. Abbey Road was truly amazing. They're truly amazing. I still need a couple more ABBA albums. I need the first one, and I think that's the only one I need. Maybe the second one. But love ABBA. I'm with you. The Visitors, yes. Love The Visitors. Great record. Stephen Wilson from Porcupine Tree did a cover of an ABBA tune. They are truly respected. Napoleon was a short little effer. I don't know what an effer is.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't know.
There might be another song come up. I don't have it, but maybe you guys do. That Bernie or what Bjorn, one of the guys from ABBA, was part of that has a location in it. And if it doesn't come up, I'll mention it later. But yeah,
I do not have it.
Another really well told story from Joe. I think my toque's on too tight tonight. Yeah, let's take my toque off for a while.
That's your toque.
That's my toque. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Americans are going, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. The first day of Christmas. No, which day of Christmas was it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a piece of apparel so nice they wrote what it is right on top.
They named it twice.
All
right, John, what do you got?
All right. Well, I will see your Nebraska and raise you one. Ghost of Tom Joad.
I wondered if you'd go there.
Yeah.
And so the song Youngstown, had no idea. Talk about going down a rabbit hole about this song. I kind of, Springsteen's a pretty avid reader, especially what he did by reading Grapes of Wrath and doing this is pretty amazing. And then kind of basing a whole album off the idea of it. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So it's like about Youngstown, Ohio, and they're talking about like the different generations and different things that the area brought after certain wars. Like in that area, they produced like cannonballs for the Civil War and helped the Union win the war. So the line in there for that one is here in Northeast Ohio back in 1803, James and Danny Heaton found the ore that was lining Yellow Creek. They built a blast furnace here along the shore, and they made the cannonball that helped the Union win the war. So that was kind of cool how he knew his history and incorporated it into the song. So I don't know if he was reading a book on Ohio. I have no idea where Springsteen got this idea. So then they talk about like World War II, and his line in there is, well, my daddy come on Ohio works, and he come home from World War II. Now the yard's just scrap and rubble. He said, them big boys did what Hitler couldn't do. So that's the line he put in there. And then, of course, he brings it into his generation with the Vietnam War. And it's well, daddy worked the furnaces, kept them hotter than hell. I come home from Nam, worked my way to Scarfer, a job that suits the devil as well. I had no idea what a Scarfer was. Looked it up. I guess it's a guy who cuts shapes out of metal or wood. It's a pretty low job, I guess. So a lot of history in that song. And I never even thought about that part of it. I'm just, it's got a nice melody to it. It's atmospheric. It's like this cool song. But it's interesting when you really take these songs and you look at them, like I said, I'm a lyric guy. So I get in there, I'm like, holy crap. And then you go, how do you write a song like that and make it sound cool and make it, it's a unique talent to be able to do that. I'm sure this is like not its most popular song, but it's definitely one I can hear the melody in my head right now. The chorus, and they're here in Youngstown. It's like the killer. So, yep, there's your history lesson, boys and girl, right off of The Ghost of Tom Joad.
There you go.
Right on.
Darren's saying he never got into Bruce, but he absolutely loved the river, but he pleads ignorance on the rest of his songs.
Missing so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. This is going to be not necessarily a silly statement. A lot of people write him off just because all they think of is Born in the USA, which was fantastically written. It was just so friggin' big. It's like, well, the rest can't be much if that's all we kind of get out of them, where it was, cars and cars and chicks and stuff, kind of, but not really. But yeah, there is a whole breadth of Bruce Springsteen, like Nebraska, like Tom Joad, which I also just picked up. I actually just got a couple, about 4 that I didn't have. I don't know why. It took me a while to get to them, but I just picked them up and I've kind of just started to give them more of a listen, including, like I say, including the letter. But yeah, don't if you're clouded for some reason, if you're clouded by the success of Born in the USA, don't let that cloud your judgment on listening to other Bruce Springsteen albums. If for some reason you find that maybe because you think it was too commercial, if that's a thing, don't take it that way. Listen to some other Bruce Springsteen albums, I think. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think you guys agree as well, but
even if he kind of, in the beginning, I think he let the music go second to his lyrics in a way.
A little bit, yeah.
And he's definitely even if you just strip the music away and you look at his lyrics, the guy's right there with Dylan. I mean, he could tell a story. He could come up with clever lines. I mean,
yeah. I think people just think it's that it's just Americana, and he just talks about working and things like that. That's not the case. There's lots of that, and that stuff is fantastic, but it's not just that. So,
nope. Yeah. Yep, definitely worth. Even Tunnel of Love, the follow up to.
Yeah,
I
like Tunnel of Love. Yeah.
Speaking of you picking up some Springsteen, if in stuff in your store, if you ever get Human Touch happen to cross your store, set it aside for me because I'm looking for it and I can't find it anywhere. So
no, I will.
Keep an eye out for it.
I can't remember. I think I went through the S box of the new collection, and that's where I found a couple of. They're over there. A couple of Springsteens that I didn't have as well. So they're at home being listened to currently, being tested, just to make sure they're okay.
They should be.
They're being tested. Yeah, exactly.
Darren's saying when I was a budding piano player, someone ached for me to play a Bruce Springsteen song. I didn't know it, but I listened to it the next day and was definitely intrigued. A great song is a great song. Indeed. Absolutely.
Yes, many of those.
Joe, correct. It is your turn.
All right, twofer. We're going to head to the Windy City. Who's been to Chicago? I have not been to Chicago. Yeah? No? I was supposed to go a number of years ago.
Chicago.
Sorry?
I spent 5 weeks in Chicago for work.
Is that a good thing? Good thing? It seems like it'd be an okay city.
Well, here's the shitty thing about it. It was 5 weeks spaced out over 5 months. So it was a week a month for 5 months.
Yeah.
But I was there for a training thing for work. And our hotel was near the airport, and our office was right next door to the friggin' hotel. So I never got to go see anything. And I was there 5 weeks, and I saw nothing but the airport.
Yeah, you never got the good part of Chicago, sure.
No.
And I guess I shouldn't say I've never been there. I've driven through past O'Hare at 8 in the morning when there are 18 lanes. It's like the 401 right around O'Hare. It's insanity. But anyway, but it's a city that I think I would like to maybe visit at some point. I was supposed to go, and then that fell through. But first up is going to be, and I'm going to do a twofer, is a little band called Paper Lace, some 70s gold. I'm not sure if you guys, I think you've probably all heard The Night Chicago Died. It's, it's kind of a 70s staple, classic, whatever you want to call it, but it's just fun. It just kicks in and, Daddy was a cop. And it's just the little bit of story, especially, again, it would have come out, when the hell did this come out? Oh, I can't freaking, it's just 74. So I was 9 at the time that came out, and it was pretty good because it was just a cool song. And is he going to come home? Oh my God, they killed the dad, and then he walks in the door. Spoiler alert. Anyway, which was, oh my God, sorry. So that's one representation of Chicago, and then the other representation of Chicago, besides all the Chicago blues, I'm talking about the 2 albums I happened to pull out. Of course, is Jesus Just Left Chicago by the little band out of Texas called ZZ Top. Man, this is a killer album. I hadn't listened to this for a long time, but Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago, Beer and Hellraisers. Not that is necessarily what we're topicing on this evening, but Jesus Just Left Chicago. And it's really good, and it's so good. In fact, I've even got 2 copies of it because one is really, really beat up, and the other is a good one to listen to. Anyway, and the sleeve that I have these 2 albums in is a sleeve that is big enough that if you get these from a place called Vinyl Storage Solutions is the website that you go to and you buy them, you can pick up sleeves that you can put 2 albums in. They've got lots of different versions of sleeves, including ones where 2 can go in. And then from what I understand, if you put in, there's a code that you put in, and it's Northern 10, and it gets you 10% off, right?
Right.
And you can get
StorageSolutions.ca, promo code Northern 10. Get those sleeves. You get box set sleeves. You get gatefold sleeves. You can get inner sleeves. You can get 10-inch sleeves. You name it, the whole 9 yards. So there you go.
Exactly.
Not brought to you by Vinyl Storage Solutions, but if someone would like to buy some record sleeves, I get about a nickel. So
use Northern 10. Use Northern 10 as your promo code when you check out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
You're going to have to start sending some of those nickels your way.
No, I'm all good. I'm all good.
Appreciate it. Daryl, your turn, man. We're going around again.
All right. John, are you ready for this? I'm going to need your help most likely.
There we go.
All right. So this is a 4. We're going to call it a 4 friend. I never heard that term before.
Orfer.
This is going to be amateur hour on my part, but it's all good. So I'm going to start off with, I believe that when I was reading about this morning, they had to repress this because it was like a pressing error. The speed was too fast on it. So his first album is called Cold Spring Harbor, which I believe it's a location in New York City, I think.
Yeah, it's out in Long Island. Yeah, Long Island.
Yeah, so it's located on Long Island. So that's kind of my geographical piece on this.
Yep.
I actually, this is the one that CHMO, that is the radio station that I picked up all these albums on.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's kind of got the writing on it, but it's one of my most recent picks here. So the first one is just going with the straight up album title cover. And I think I read that they repressed it in 1983 and they changed the recording speed and all that.
Yeah,
the original. Not a very.
Yeah,
it's not It's not one of his best known albums, eh?
No, but there's a lot of good songs on there. Yeah, singer-songwriter-ish.
All right. Then we're gonna go with The Stranger, and there's a song on it called Vienna, which is a city in Austria, or what is it, Austria?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds right.
But I mean, my personal, I like the single from this. Just the Way You Are is a really good song. I like that song.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I'm overly familiar with Vienna, but I mean The Stranger's a pretty classic album.
And Vienna is considered, that's his favorite song that he ever wrote. And he met his father because his father left World War II, all this stuff. There's a whole story, but he met his father in Vienna or in Germany, and he saw these older people sweeping, and he said, "Why are these old ladies like sweeping us? Because everybody still serves a purpose here. Everybody still, they give them a job to do no matter how old they are." So that's where he got the idea of Vienna Waits for You. So
pretty neat.
Yeah.
Pretty neat song. Well, then we'll go with The Nylon Curtain.
Oh yeah.
Allentown is that's what it's in Pennsylvania. That's a total working man song there about factories closing and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I think you had mentioned it before that he wasn't from Allentown, but he kind of got the idea of the place that he grew up in, eh?
Yeah, there was a town he played in Pennsylvania. He had to cancel a concert, then he went back and he owed him one kind of thing, and he wanted to sing a song for him, but I forgot what the city was, but it didn't work. Oh, my lights just went out. Okay, I'm in the dark.
Scary.
I forgot what it was, but when we're living here and whatever the town was, it didn't fit, so he just picked Allentown instead, and he's like, well, it's close enough. Well, we're living here in Allentown. Yeah.
That's a great song. And then Goodnight Saigon is on here in Scandinavian Skies. So it's all a whole pile of geography on this one.
Yeah.
Obviously Goodnight Saigon is about Vietnam and stuff like that. And Scandinavian Skies would be about, the northern countries in Europe.
He was on an acid trip or a mushroom trip over the Scandinavian skies. So if you listen to that song, it's trippy as hell. And he's like, I always wondered what it was about. I thought it was a war song. What is it? No, he's tripping out on an airplane. The mushrooms kicked in while he was in flight. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my last one is I know that this is one of your least favorite albums, I think, by him, is The Bridge. But there's a song on here called Big Man on Mulberry Street, which is a major street in Long Island, I think it is.
It's in the city.
It's in the city. Yep. And so those are my four. That's my four Billy Joel albums. Probably the only time I'll ever show 4 Billy Joels. But
nice. I like it. Keep it going.
Complete, straight up cities, locations, towns, history. It's all there on his albums.
Yeah. I knew New York. Like when I went to New York for the first time, I started recognizing all these places because I grew up listening to his lyrics. I'm like, oh, there's that. Mulberry Street. I was like, oh, that's cool. Yep. You learn history through Billy Joel.
Got a few Billy Joel comments. Nice going, Daryl. I heard that was reissued on a box set. I so want the second Billy Joel box set, which features Nassau Coliseum from '82.
Still want that.
Richard thinks he looks like a 70s porn star on that first record to show. Darren says The Stranger, an amazing album. Vienna is weird to play on the piano. Nylon Curtain is, to me, his best album. Scandinavian Skies. See, haha, you picked up on that. There you go. The Bridge, plus that tune with Cyndi Lauper and also Baby Grand.
Love that Cyndi Lauper song. Yeah, Code of Silence. That's awesome.
There you go. All right. Daryl did a 4 for. I'm doing a 3 for. And I guarantee you none of you will have heard of any of these, but that's okay. Okay. This is Luke Doucette and the White Falcon. Joe will recognize Luke Doucette from White Horse. Joe now has a White Horse record, so that's good.
I do.
Luke is Sarah McLachlan's guitar player, but also had a solo career. This is an absolutely incredible solo record he put out in 2008. Luke is an absolutely incredible guitar player. He plays a Gretsch White Falcon. That's kind of his signature thing. Anyway, this is called Blood's Too Rich. And there is a song on here. There's 2 songs I think that we should talk about. There's a song here called Cleveland, which is about Cleveland, and it's also about Cincinnati. Essentially, it's about Ohio. And a lot of references about that, like when the Ohio River back in, the 70s was so polluted it caught on fire. They talk about that. They talk about, Pete Rose being banned from the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's not Cleveland, that's Cincinnati, but it's still in the song Cleveland. And the other song to note is the song that kicks this album off called Long Haul Driver. And it's about the journey of a truck driver basically driving west. And instead of going up through northern Ontario, most truck drivers will go to Windsor, cross over at Detroit, go underneath the Great Lakes because it's a hell of a lot shorter than going up and around. And he ultimately ends up in Winnipeg. And it sort of talks about some of the things in Winnipeg and going to see a band at a bar that's quite renowned in Winnipeg. So that's the first one of my 3 first. So Luke Doucette on his first solo record, not his first solo record, his second to last solo record, pardon me. And then Luke's last solo record is called Steel City Trawler. There is a city in Ontario, which is, remember how I mentioned before that the city of Lakes is Dartmouth, Nova Scotia? Well, Steeltown or the Steel City in Ontario is Hamilton, because it's at the end of Lake Ontario. There's a bunch of steel mills there. And so Luke lived in Hamilton for quite a while. He lives in Toronto now. But this album, aside from the fact Steel City Trawler, it's kind of named after Hamilton, this album is an ode to Hamilton. It talks about life in Hamilton, and there is in the CD and in the vinyl, there's actually a comic book. And if you read the comic book, there's all kinds of Hamilton things here. For example, let me just quickly find something here. Where did I see it? All right, like right in this frame right here. Dr. Disc is a pretty famous record store in Hamilton. It's still there. There's a whole bunch of other things. There's a frame here where it talks about one of the in Hamilton, because it's around the tip of the lake, there's also an escarpment that goes around, which was originally the prehistoric shore of Lake Ontario, and we call it the mountain. It's not a mountain, but that's what it's called. And there's a big staircase you can walk up the mountain, and there's a thing about that in here. So this whole album is kind of a love letter or a reminiscence on growing up in Hamilton, Ontario. And I'll round out my threesome by showing his current band. He still does the Sarah McLachlan thing, but he partnered with his wife to form a band called White Horse. This is the next one you need, Joe. If you like the first one, this is even better. It's called The Fate of the World. The Fate of the World depends on this Kiss. I think it's their best record. There's Luke on the back. This is photographed in New York City when they were living there. But there's a song in here called No Glamour in the Hammer. The Hammer is another nickname for Hamilton, Ontario, because they lived in Hamilton. So this is a song about Hamilton. So there you go.
Cool. Isn't the original Tim Hortons in Hamilton as well? I think
it is still there. So that video that I did a few weeks back where Brian from Embryonic Robot and I went to Revolution Records in Hamilton, a block down the street is Tim Hortons #1. It's obviously been rebuilt several times, but it's there. And then on the top floor, there's a museum that has the whole history of the franchise and of Tim Horton himself. So yeah, it's still there.
Cool. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. All right. I just realized how many places are on this album. So we're
I should have let you go right after Daryl. That was inconsiderate of me because
I was going to say something. I'm like, no, let's just go with the flow.
Just interrupt me, man. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
So there's Say Goodbye to Hollywood, Summer Highland Falls. Those are 2 places. A New York State of Mind, and Miami 2017. So I actually just realized Miami 2017 kind of plays into it too. But anyway, so I was going to talk about New York State of Mind, but also with Say Goodbye to Hollywood. So this was his first album out of California. He did Piano Man and Street Life Serenade in California because he had such a bad contract. He was trying to hide. So he went from New York all the way to California, and that's where he got Piano Man because he was playing in actual piano bars. This is kind of like his exodus from California back to New York. So Say Goodbye to Hollywood is basically, that's it. He's saying, see you, California. I've had enough. I'm a New Yorker. This just isn't for me. And there's a line in New York State of Mind. It says, I've seen all the movie stars and their fancy cars and their limousines, high in the Rockies under the evergreen, but I know what I'm needing. Don't want to waste any more time. I'm in a New York State of Mind. And then while all this is going on, he got out of the contract. He kind of had some guys go over and have a conversation. I don't want to say like, if you ever watched The Sopranos, they kind of had a conversation with the original manager, and Billy got out of his contract. So
they made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, okay, so that got cleared up. And at the time, what really pushed him to leave was New York was about close to filing bankruptcy, the city. They were going through a lot of problems. And who was it? The president at the time? It was really interesting. I looked up this quote. President Ford was president at the time, and he basically told the city, there's a newspaper, somebody holding up, it says drop dead to New York. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know what, somebody was pissed at somebody. So Billy's like, well, I'm going back home because if my city's going down, I'm coming down with it. So that was a big motivator for him. But literally while he's going cross country, because he still doesn't have a lot of money, near the time he gets into New York, he starts just writing the lyrics to New York State of Mind. That's why there's he was literally writing, taking a Greyhound bus on the Hudson River line. I'm in the New York State of Mind. He's literally on the bus writing that. And I remember him in an interview, he said he literally got off the bus, ran to the house. His wife had a piano set up in the house. He said, get out of the way, sat down and just wrote the song it's one of those songs that come to you in like 10 minutes. So he was completely inspired at that time. So this is like the transition album. It's, it's cool. It's the Turnstiles thing. And there's a story. This is like his stepson down here. There's a story. All these, I think this is Say Goodbye to Hollywood. Angry Young Man is on here somewhere. I don't know which one the Angry Young Man was. But yeah, each one of these represents one of the songs. All She Wants to Do Is Dance, this lady right here. So, it's kind of cool that he was able to do that. Even I've Loved These Days. I don't know if you're familiar with that song, but it's kind of like a song about indulgence and drug abuse and all that. But he's saying, as crazy as it got, I still love those days. So he had a good time in California, but he was ready to go back, to New York at that point. So there's a lot going on in this album. Yeah.
When I think of New York State of Mind, and I think of the live, like songs from the attic. I don't know why, but when you started talking about it, it was like, well, that's not on that album. That's
no, it's not.
Yeah. No, never mind. But
let's think about Hollywood there's a live version that actually, when he did Songs from the Attic, it took some of those songs even off of Cold Spring Harbor. Like She's Got Away became a hit finally. So he took those songs because he felt he had that band with like Liberty DeVito and all those guys at that point. He says, I have my band now. Let me go back and revisit all these old songs and put it on a live album. And because I think we do it better now. So that was his chance to redo those songs.
And maybe that's exactly it, because, you know, in my listening to Billy Joel, there's a certain time frame and those necessarily weren't there. So that's why when you mentioned New York State of Mind, it was like, wait a minute. And not that I was not believing you, because you would know. It's just in my mind, that's what first came up. But that makes sense now. It was like, you know, I've got this good stuff. Let's do it again. And then, awesome. Yeah, it's such a fantastic song.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go, Turnstile. And I was over in St. Augustine, and they had on the wall one of these MoFis of glass houses, but they wanted like $125 for it. And I was like,
you didn't do it? What's wrong with you?
I let it.
When it's your artist, you just got to do it, man.
I know. I'm just so over the days of spending over $100 for a record.
I get you.
Especially when I have 3 copies of Glass Houses, one unopened. That's supposed to be a first press. So, yeah.
You talk to me when you have a dozen Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll catch up with you on the Glass Houses. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I just wanted to tuck my son in and say goodnight. So sorry I had to step away there.
Yeah,
that's all good.
Not that I was like, oh shit, Billy Joel, now's the time to make a break.
Now's the time to get out.
Sure, the timing of it all, I see.
I just figured because you're talking about Billy Joel, I didn't have to worry that you'd be done in 30 seconds, right? So,
yeah, you know, I tried not to include him, but that's such it's such a good story. I like that story. So
I'm going to warn everyone, especially Richard, there's some Blue Rodeo coming up, and if you don't like it, too bad.
Hey, I listened to that album. I did listen to
5 Days in July.
I did,
and
I'll let you know.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's just say I did like it better than the other ones.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Yep.
All right, Joe, you're up.
All right. I'm not sure that these places, I know that there is a river, but I'm not sure if these places that I'm going to talk about are actual places or just part of the song. But the song that came to mind when we started to talk about this was Ode to Billy Joe and the Tallahatchie Bridge and Choctaw Ridge that he jumped off of and things like that. This is a really, really, really good album. I don't know that she necessarily ever got the credit that I thought that she deserved, but I really like this album. It's good. Obviously, that's kind of a, you know, it's one of those morose type of songs that maybe, you know, some people don't enjoy listening to just because obviously the subject matter, but it's one of those that we have to listen. It's like listening to Jeremy by Pearl Jam and a lot of other songs about what happens sometimes, but really, really good album overall. And again, I like Bobby, and she's got a really good voice, and it's just fantastic. So again, I'm not sure that there is a Tallahatchie River, but I don't know that there is actually. I don't know.
There is a Choctaw Ridge
and Choctaw Ridge as well. So
Choctaw Ridge is in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And
so there you go.
A quick history lesson, not that anyone cares. The
No,
Choctaw. So in the 1830s, there were 5. I don't know if bands is the correct word these days. 5 they were called the 5 civilized tribes of the American South. So the most famous being the Cherokee, but another one of them were the Choctaw. And these 5 civilized, they were called the civilized tribes because they had written laws and all that, and they were trying to emulate American society, I think, to avoid the fate of other Indian tribes of the time. But nevertheless, Andrew Jackson, who was the president at the time, still seized all their lands and sent them out onto reservations. And it was the Cherokee saw the worst fate. They went on a long march called the Trail of Tears, where many of them died. But the Choctaw in Mississippi were one of the 5 civilized tribes of the American South.
There you go.
That's what I remember from my undergraduate history degree 25 years ago.
There you go.
I set them up, and then the brains of the operation comes through with the information. So, plus Bobby's kind of cute. I like Bobby too. So
yeah, a little bit.
Good album. I got this 2 years ago, and you can't. It was still in the shrink wrap, unopened from 1960 whatever. I can't remember exactly the year, but it's a German press of this, so it sounds really, really good. and yeah, it had never been opened. And it wasn't those where, you know, you get those ones, they're not open, but you know they were, and they got closed back up again. It looked like original Shrink on there. So pretty
Curtis
cool.
Curtis is saying he just got that record yesterday.
Oh, wow.
It's a great album. It is. It's definitely, you know, and again, I think that, I mean, I don't know if you have that one or not, Rob, but that sounds like, I think that seems like it might be your style-ish.
It would. I don't have it. I mean, I know some of the songs. I just don't have it.
Sure. Yeah. 67. There, James got it. So,
there you go, James.
yeah, it was unopened from 1967 until 2022. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Cool.
And how did you feel about opening it? Did you feel, you know, like...
No, I felt okay with it. Yeah, I really wanted to listen to it. So
I'm the same way. I'm like, every time I see someone that still has Shrink on a record, I just want to, as I like to say, grip it and rip it.
Yeah.
Get that damn Shrink off of there. Play the damn record. I know you can slit it and still rip the Shrink off. Jesus.
Yeah. The only thing further ridiculous is putting it in closing it, and what do they call that? I can't remember what they call that.
Oh, when they plaque it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
I actually have an original Beatles record. I have a copy of Something New, the Beatles record from '64, still in the Shrink.
Yeah.
And now it's been opened on the side so it can be played, but it still has a Shrink on it. And that's the only one I haven't been able to bring myself to rip the Shrink off. But I'm probably still going to do it someday, and I'm going to video it just to make people lose their minds.
Does it have
exactly.
Does it have a hype sticker on it?
Not a hype sticker, but look at your balloons. How'd you do that?
I don't went like this. I don't know.
Happy
Like this, and then balloons went.
I have no idea. Yeah, like the Billy Joel one, it's only sealed because I haven't had time to make the.
It doesn't have a hype sticker because it's 1964, but it has the original price sticker on it from 1964.
See, that's cool. I say I'd keep it. I like hype stickers.
I couldn't care less.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's part of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're going around again, Daryl.
How many rounds do we got left in us? This is the last one or one more after this?
No, we got to have more. I still have like 12 records sitting here. So
I know. I overdid it.
Yeah, I did.
All right. So here we go. For 2 weeks now, we haven't talked about Canada's Sheryl Crow. I'm bringing up Canada's Sheryl Crow.
You need to bring her up, so go for it.
I have to bring her up.
You're going to show Birmingham, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely showing Birmingham because I truly believe that on the self-titled album, Birmingham it's a quite lyrically, it is a very important song. I mean, it's about a very important topic, which is, you know, spousal abuse and alcoholism, ultimately, is what it boils down to.
Yep. But
the song Birmingham is about, I know there's multiple different Birminghams across the United States and in the UK. The one that's referenced here is the one that's in Alabama. So how do the lyrics go here? Trying to find them here inside the album. I can't even remember how it goes now. It's not telling me on the inside.
It's an interesting song because there's no chorus to that song.
Yeah.
It's just straight. There's no verse, chorus. There's no chorus at all. I could probably pull it up.
You know what it is? I'm looking at the wrong set of lyrics here. Hold on.
Well, that might be
all right. So it says,
talks about the lights of Birmingham.
Yeah, seems the dreams she had have all turned black and blue, which is a reference to the fact that she's getting abused by her husband. She's wasted years, no time for tears, because there's another chance, and someday soon, shining like the Alabama moon, she's looking for her promised land out beyond the lights of Birmingham. And so it's a pretty powerful song lyrically. I think almost every song, if not every song on that self-titled album, is important. And, you know, we always talk about her as being Canada's Sheryl Crow, but really at the end of the day, you listen to the songs.
I think she's better.
Pretty parallel to it.
Whoa.
And, no, listen, John. Whoa. John, hold on. John, you know how big of a Sheryl Crow fan I am.
No, I know, yeah.
I think Amanda Marshall's better.
Wow.
Her voice
statement
blows Sheryl Crow's out of the water.
That's pretty tough. Has she sung in Italian with Pavarotti, though?
Probably not. Probably not.
That'd be a good video. We'll have to debate that one someday.
So, John, the album that Daryl just showed, you should listen to because I guarantee you will like it.
I'm just thinking I need to revisit. I bought that album because of that Birmingham song in the 90s when it came out.
Yeah.
And just was not into it. It's gone.
Every song on that is a hit.
So I'm like, do I need to revisit that? And, it could be like Pink Floyd Division Bell took me a while. So maybe I need to revisit
it. It is so good. And the second album, too, which is called Tuesday's Child, equally as good.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I will check that one out.
So good. And Richard, if you're watching, you should listen to that album as well if you don't already know it, because it's right up your alley. You'd love it.
Joe, somebody's breaking in your house, man.
Hey, thief, get out of Joe's house.
I thought my kids were bad.
It's a burglar. Hit him with a baseball bat.
He's almost looking at him like, what are you doing in my house, man? Hey, you don't live here anymore.
Let's see if Joe starts wrestling this guy.
Yeah, this could be good. I bought the house. Look, you see?
He's like, get out of my house.
Yeah.
The door's over there. Get out of my house and leave my records alone.
Right. Okay, those aren't your records. Okay, and your cat doesn't live here anymore, remember?
Right? I'm waiting for Joe to take his shirt and pull it over his head and start punching him. That's what we call jerseying.
There you go. Yeah. Your kitty's in heaven, buddy. This is entertaining right here.
This is great. Now, if he attacks Joe and we need to call 911, I've got Joe's phone number. I don't know where.
Don't worry, Joe. You have witnesses. We got you. Okay. He seems okay.
Is that a burglar, Joe?
Safe.
No, that's not a burglar. Actually, that's my son Riley. Riley, say hello to everybody.
Well, tell Riley to come over and say hi to the internet.
Hello.
He will. He's working on the other computer, so trying to get it going. He's tech support. Yeah.
Does he know Dad's famous on the internet?
Yes. He said he does. So
excellent.
Yeah. There's a lot of his albums. There's a lot of his albums in here too, actually. So there's a few. So.
We thought it was maybe a burglar, and we were waiting for you guys to start tussling it up back there.
Yeah, we didn't know what was happening there. It's interesting.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen live.
No, my apologies. I just, when tech support comes, you got to make sure you get them to look at your stuff, or they'll walk away and they'll never be back again. So
fair enough.
Great entertainment. We loved it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It was just your turn, wasn't it, Daryl?
Yeah.
All right, so that means it's my turn, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. What am I going to show? I'm woefully unprepared as usual. All right, I'm gonna do a twofer, and this is a U-twofer.
Oh,
look at that.
Dad joke galore. All right.
I know, but I mean,
it works.
All right, so get out of that vinyl storage solution sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite U2 album, Rattle and Hum, has a song called Angel of Harlem. It's a cold and wet December day, touched the ground at JFK.
Yep.
Snow was blowing on the ground. DLS, I heard the sound of an angel of Harlem. Great song. Maybe one of my favorite U2 songs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I don't think there's anything else geographic on here that I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, when love comes to town, it's a town. There you go.
Yeah, but it's a little ambiguous as to what that town is, I suppose. But
I'm stretching it a little bit.
I don't really know what Van Diemen's Land is, so that doesn't count.
That's a place in Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. But I love that song. Anyway, so we're going to go with Angel of Harlem off that one. And as Harlem is, part of the greater New York area, we're going to go off this album, the song New York. Not one of my favorite songs, actually, but I remember when this album came out, the big publicity stunt they did was they set up on the back of a flatbed 53-foot truck, and the truck just drove across New York and drove across, I don't know, one of the bridges and whatever. And as this truck is just driving through New York City, they're playing songs from this album. And it's like, you imagine, you're coming out of the subway on your way to work, and U2 rolls by on a flatbed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, New York.
I would say New York is probably, if there was someone keeping track, New York is probably the city that has been written about the most. Wouldn't you think? I think.
I'm going to make this not just a U2-fer. I'm going to make this a 3-fer because this relates to it. This is a young, relatively unknown singer-songwriter. I don't know if you guys have heard of this girl. Her name's Taylor Swift.
She's a
no. You keep talking about her. I've never heard of her.
I just have a hunch she's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They showed someone that looked like her in the football game the other day, though.
Well, yeah. I don't know. She might like football. I don't know. But anyway, off 1989, she has a song called Welcome to New York. And she went through this phase where she moved and she was a serial dater. And that's what she was kind of criticized for in the media. But I don't think she's had any more relationships than the rest of us have. It's just that they were highly publicized. But she sort of took some time to not be in relationships and just be her with her girlfriends and whatever. And she moved to New York and whatever. So the start of this whole album is really about her life in New York. But the first song, Welcome to New York. So that ties into the 2 New York songs that I just showed from you too. So there you
go. All
right. Which means John is next.
This is not the one I'm talking about, but just, New York, New York. There you go.
There you go. Yep.
It is on there. I don't know if I'll get to them, but across the coast, you got Left My Heart in San Francisco, which is a really good album. I got this for $1 at like a thrift store. Really good shape. I think it's an original. Plays nice. It's a good album. I actually kind of got me into the Tony Bennett thing.
Yeah, it is. I agree. It's a nice listen for sure. You put it on and it's just a great sit there and listen album, which, we need every once in a while.
Yeah, just that vocal and that power in that voice. It's just amazing. Yeah. So what do you think is the furthest place we've talked about so far? Where have we gone so far?
Mozambique.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is in miles, but it's probably not as far as Saturn, the song on this album right here.
That's true.
Might be further.
So if you watched my video, I talked about it. Here's the little 45 that came with this album. Not all of them have it, and it's called a Something Extra. I don't know what. That's a weird name. A Something's Extra. So there were 4 songs, and there's a song called Saturn on there. And Stevie sings about love and life and politics. He gets political. He talks about it. Events, what's going on. But I was listening to the words of this song, and at first I was like, I'm not really getting it. Then I slowly got into the song. But this is 1976, and he's just, seeing everything that's going on and what's happening with the world. And his lyrics are just good. He's like, packing my bags, going away to a place where the air is clean, on Saturn. There's no sense to sit and watch the people die. We don't fight our wars the way you do. We put back all the things we use on Saturn. So he's like, I'm going to leave Earth. We're done. There's nothing. You guys are going to destroy this planet. So I'm going to Saturn. I'm just going to hang out over there. But I thought some of the other lines in there were like pretty poignant too. Is we have come here many times before to find your strategy to peace is war. Killing helpless men, women, and children that don't even know what they're dying for. We can't trust you when you take a stand with a gun and a Bible in your hand, which I can relate to big time in America right now. And the cold expression on your face saying, give us what we want or we'll destroy. So it's strong words. And Stevie has a way of talking about pretty heavy things and deep things, but making it light a little bit. Like, he's delivering this really heavy message, but he's going to give you some music to kind of go with it, so you're not feeling down when you hear it. So you can kind of say what he wants to say, but not leave you feeling depressed at the end of the day, kind of thing. So that's what I really found in his albums when I went through these 6 albums, and as he matured from the Motown sound into his own sound. That's one big thing I noticed about him, is he was able to kind of deliver that message, but I didn't feel like, I'm going to go kill myself right now. I felt like, I learned something, but I don't feel depressed. So that's what Stevie did in those 6-year period there. And I think he put out 64, 68 songs in that period of time. So he was on a roll. So
yeah. Yeah, very much so.
So you beat Saturn. Try to beat Saturn, guys.
Well, hold on a second.
I got you.
We've gone to the judges for review on this one. That entry is disqualified.
It's not a place?
Because, according to the internet, geography is the study of the lands, features, inhabitants, and phenomena of Earth. Geography is an all-encompassing discipline that seeks an understanding of Earth and its human and natural complexities. The word geography is an ancient Greek word combining G, Earth, and grapho, right. So Saturn, disqualified.
But Earth is part of the universe, which includes Saturn.
No, we will not accept that.
Okay.
That entry is disqualified.
This is still the best one anyway.
I don't know. It all makes me very superstitious. That's
minus 1 point. Minus 1 point for you, John.
Okay, I'll take that.
Not that we're keeping track, but
yeah.
There's copies of that album that came out with Braille on them, I believe. Isn't that the one? I think that one.
A few of his albums did have Braille on them. Yep.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Curtis loves Stevie, but even Curtis has to admit that's not geography.
He didn't say that.
Our topic is geography, and that is not the Earth. So,
well, you said songs or albums about places,
but I was specific.
I said geography.
Yeah. I said our topic is geography.
Yeah,
doesn't fucking matter. No,
I lose.
I'm just being a smartass. That's all good.
That's it. All good, I don't like you Canadians. You guys suck.
Nobody does. We have a reputation for being a-holes. Nobody likes it.
I'm gonna pull up the Great White North in a minute here.
Sorry. Yeah. All right. We are going to head to the beautiful state of New Jersey, and we are going to be right on the nose with one, and then we're going to reference a lyric. Again, one of the ones that I thought of when we started talking about this. For some reason, Roland the Roadie and Gertrude the Groupie, who met at a rock concert back in Bayonne, New Jersey, popped into my head. I don't know. There's definitely two versions of Dr. Hook. There's Sexy Eyes and stuff like that, and Sylvia's Mother kind of falls into that category. Then there's Roland the Roadie, and there's Penicillin Penny, and there's really this kind of greatest hits. In fact, there's two different greatest hits, and they're completely different albums as far as I'm concerned. Sylvia's Mother's on here as well, but there's also Acapulco Goldie is also on this album. So you get a couple. Now, again, I realize that you have to get into the lyrics of Roland the Roadie, but they met at a rock concert in Bayonne where he said he was going to introduce her to all of the Beatles and Stones. And the other is just pretty much right on the nose, and it's Bon Jovi in New Jersey. So great album. Overshadowed, of course, by Slippery When Wet, but a really decent Bon Jovi album. I like Bon Jovi back to the beginning. I like Bon Jovi currently, and this is a really decent album. It's not the greatest copy, unfortunately, but I really do like this album. Obviously, Bad Medicine, Born to Be My Baby. It still had a ton of hits. It wasn't as hit-making as others, but I certainly like it. And
I like it too. I'm trying to find a copy, but I've not seen one in the wild yet.
It's hard to find a good copy. I've had 3 copies of that, and I've had issues with every one of them. So hopefully,
and I wouldn't call this a good one. The cover's awesome, unless maybe I did find a better one. I don't know. I might have ran into a couple along the way, but if you can find this one, and again, I like it as far as a Bon Jovi album goes. It just gets overshadowed. It's kind of like Tunnel of Love after Born in the USA. Tunnel of Love is a fantastic album. It just came out after Born in the USA, so it kind of gets diminished a little bit. But there you go. There's my New Jersey. So I'm going to go do Jim Tan laundry now.
All right. We got enough to do another round or two. Yes? No?
Yeah, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
I'll fly stuff. Yeah.
All right. Daryl.
All right. So not a lightning round. We've got two more rounds.
One more regular round, and then we'll do a speed round.
Okay.
All right. This is a twofer, and we have not yet, as far as I know, I don't think we've talked about the largest country in the world yet. So back when this was written, I mean, we're well aware. I mean, I only have 2 albums by this band, and by far, I don't think anybody's ever heard of them. But my favorite song by them is kind of about like Russian spies and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna go a little back in the USSR and the Beatles, and this one is an Apple copy on this one. So back in the USSR, that's a great song, pretty much about Russian spies and all that kind of stuff. Really cool. But we're going to transition into some Canadian content on this next one, and it's probably the weirdest transition we've ever done. I don't think you've ever seen a transition that goes from the Beatles to Corey Hart.
Oh wow, that's a big jump.
Well, Corey Hart.
Wait a minute. What's the connection? What's the guitar player? Is the connection?
There is a song that is on here, and this is from before Russia broke up, and it's called Comrade Kiev. And basically, there is a line in the song that talks about how does it go here? Oh, I've walked through Mother Russia in the cold of wintertime, and I've seen every mountain that each man wants to climb. And the song is pretty political. I mean, it says it basically the chorus is shoot Comrade Kiev, shoot Comrade Kiev. So it's definitely in the tail end of that whole Cold War thing. So the two, I guess, Beatles song with Corey Hart kind of tie together this geographical Cold War spies kind of thing and what was going on in the world at that time. But kind of a neat song. I wasn't intentionally looking for Corey Hart. I just happened to come across it, and I was like, Kiev, and that's modern day Ukraine now. So once again, not going to get political, but I mean, it's still relevant in 2025.
Well done. Well, you saved me showing back in the USSR. I was going to pull the White Album, but I will show another Beatles record. And I'll show this one, Abbey Road. I don't think there's actually any songs in here that are of geographical reference. However, the album is called Abbey Road, and this is indeed Abbey Road. And this little wall here behind the Volkswagen is Abbey Road Studios. So we're gonna classify this as geography. So had I been prepared ahead of time, I would have pulled up the picture of me crossing Abbey Road, but I'm not sure what hard drive that is on in this room. And I have like 4 or 5 hard drives, so I'm not going to waste everyone's time finding it. But I have been there, and I have the cross. I'm standing about where Ringo is in the picture that I have, but the picture's not nearly as good as this. But yeah, so that's a place, Abbey Road. So we're going to go with that one. And we're going to go... I know we talked about these guys a little early on, but the band, they have quite a few geographical songs. But on this particular one, I'm going to go with The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, which is, a Robbie Robertson from Stratford, Ontario, writing about the plight of Southerners in the Civil War, because that makes sense. And Dixie, obviously, is Richmond. That's what they're talking about. It's the night that Richmond fell. And he talks about when Stoneman's cavalry came and they tore up the tracks again. General Stoneman. Most people think he's talking about Stonewall Jackson, but it's not. There's a guy named General Stoneman, and he actually tore up railroad tracks to disrupt Confederate supply lines. So this whole thing is just about, how shitty it was for essentially a family of Southern farmers living in the American South during the Civil War that, weren't necessarily fighting, but, now he did lose a brother in the Civil War, the narrative of the story. But yeah, so it just sort of, it talks about the night that Richmond fell, which actually Robbie has the date incorrect in the song, but nonetheless, that's what that's about. I'll do one more this round. Curtis, if you're still watching, we know that Curtis loves this album as much as I do. I've talked about it so many times. Concertos and Serenades by Adam Baldwin. This is a song. This is an entire album about Nova Scotia.
That's a great album. I can't find it.
It is so good. Oh yeah, I forgot. John, you listened to it. I forgot.
It's very good. I enjoyed that album. Yep.
It's a folk record. Yep. There, Curtis is on it here. I mean, I can tell you what every one of these songs is about, but in short, a couple of examples. There's a song here called "The Voice of the Eastern Passage." Eastern Passage is a town just outside of Dartmouth. It's right on the coast. I think I have my geography right, Curtis. Feel free to correct me. But anyway, there was a radio station, a community radio station that broadcasted out of Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia, and it was kind of like almost like the beacon for travelers. If you could pick up that radio signal, you knew you were close to home. Number 2, Colliery is a fictitious story based on some mining disasters that happened in Nova Scotia. Causeway Road is a real road somewhere outside of Dartmouth. I think Adam actually lives on Causeway Road. Gerald Burgess Racetrack Full Service Auto Body is about a service station that used to exist in Adam's hometown. It's now been replaced by a more modern gas station. But Lighthouse in Little Lorraine. This is the lighthouse in Little Lorraine. This lighthouse is only about 10 feet tall. It's deceptive how they photographed it, but Little Lorraine is a town on the coast. And all of these are songs about life in Newfoundland. So every one of these is geography based. And this is one of my top 10 albums of all time. It's so good. And I know Curtis has sang the praises about it as well. So, John.
All right. Yes. And I would call that a concept album. That really just paints a picture. That whole album just takes you through a little journey. It
does.
I really enjoyed that album.
I'm glad you did. Did.
Okay. So this one has one of those weird stories. We have to kind of think about it. So when you think of the song Georgia on My Mind, you think about what?
Georgia?
All right. Okay. So I'm bringing it back from Saturn down to Georgia. Here we go. Back down. All right. But there's kind of a rumor that maybe it was written about the writer. It came out. It was written in 1930 by Hoagie Carmichael. I guess he released it originally. But there's rumor that he wrote it about his sister. And while he was recording, there was a saxophonist that he was in the studio with doing whatever. He says, you should write about the state of Georgia, write a song about our state. He said, I'll give you the first 2 lines of it, Georgia, Georgia, which ended up being the first 2 lines of the song. So there's a little bit of back and forth about, was this written about a girl originally, a sister, and talking about her, or was this the state of Georgia? Did he change his mind and just shift gears and say, hey, this would be better, So I didn't know that until I did that deep dive today. I'm like, oh, that's really freaking interesting. That's kind of cool. Of course, Ray Charles does it in 1960, I believe. It's on his Genius Hits the Road album. I don't have that, but I do have it on this True Genius of Ray Charles. If you don't have Ray Charles in your collection, you better get some in there, especially the, the Atlantic years. Well, that you just can't beat that stuff. But I'm looking at the lyrics now and I'm like, well, what is this about? So it's Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through. Okay. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Okay. Could be either way. So Georgia, a song of you, comes as sweet and clear as morning through the pines. Other arms reach out to me. Other eyes smile tenderly. Still in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. So this could be, what is it? So for this purpose, I'm going to say it's for the state of Georgia, which he ended up being like the ambassador of Georgia or something. They gave him some award and that whole thing. And he's from Georgia originally. I call him a Florida guy because he moved down. He was moved to Florida in the Panhandle near when he was like 6 months old. So I consider him a Floridian, but Georgia has stronger ties, I guess, because he was born there. But it's interesting once you do these deep dive into lyrics and you see the background, you're like, holy crap, this is not what I thought this was about. What is it about? Kind of thing. But that's the beauty of music. You get to interpret it any way you want, and it's your song the way you hear it, kind of thing. So there you go. Georgia.
Very nice.
Very good.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, you have sung the praises of Ray before. And yeah,
it's good stuff. Yep.
All right, Joe.
I'm it, eh?
You're it.
I got a couple left. Not much, actually. Yeah, because this is it, right?
Save one. We're going to do one more round.
We got a lightning round at the end.
All right. I'll save. Yeah, I'll save that one. Okay. So to continue somewhat with the New York theme, there's the New York Dolls. I listened to this today. It's good. I don't know that it's great, but I've listened to it a number of times, and I know it's kind of seminal, and you got to listen to it, and it falls into that kind of a category a little bit. But I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I'd give it that much praise for myself. Now, everybody will shoot me and write me off for not knowing what the hell I'm talking about, having my head up my ass, but I enjoyed it. But I don't know, maybe I expect too much out of it, and it's good. But another one that I thought of when we started to talk about this is there's a couple of different songs about San Francisco. Well, there's more than one, for sure, and there's more than two. But the one that I thought of was A Warm San Franciscan Night by Eric Burdon and the Animals, another band that I really enjoy, actually. And again, I don't know, they get a lot of credit. They get talked about a lot. They didn't have a bunch of hits, but of course Eric Burdon was also with War, and but it's always just good stuff. And A Warm San Franciscan Night, not to be confused with Are You Going to San Francisco, which is kind of the other big one. I Left My Heart in San Francisco. I think FVA brought up a good point. There's a lot of songs about London as well. There's a lot of New York American artists that talk about New York. There's a lot of songs about London. There's quite a few about San Francisco as well. And then there's not a whole bunch about Cincinnati. But Dwight Yoakam and his big old hat, there's that one. So, and I like Dwight. Dwight's pretty good. Dwight falls into that alt country, whatever, as my cat walks away. I got people in the background all over the place tonight. But, yeah. What is it actually called on here? South of Cincinnati, not to be confused with just a little bit south of Saskatoon. And I've got one more, but I'll save that one. That'll be my finisher.
You don't see much Dwight Yoakam, do you? I don't see any Dwight Yoakam.
No, not much. There's not a whole bunch, but that the one with Suspicious Minds, it's good. I think he's even got something new out, more recent for sure. So I think, I could be wrong. I will check when somebody else starts to talk. I'll go and have a look. But I thought he had something new out. And he's not even that horrible of an actor. He's not great of an actor, but he's not that horrible of an actor. He's one of those guys that dabbles a little bit, right? The one that he did with Billy Bob Slingbait, who was really good in that. Give me some of them fried taters.
Yeah, what a great.
Someone mentioned they liked my impressions earlier, so I've been saving the whole 2 hours to do that impression.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
You should do the next episode just as Billy Bob Thornton and Slingbait.
That's Billy Bob, yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Exactly.
You're gonna spin them records.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Curtis says he's got to run. Thanks, man. And yes, Montreal, Elise Aaron. I should have pulled that one. I forgot all about that. That's a phenomenal record. All right, speed round. You guys ready?
Go.
All right. So, Daryl, you're up.
Speed round. I'm actually surprised that we didn't talk about.
Take as much time as you want.
Fair enough. I'm actually surprised that we didn't talk about this, maybe because it's just so obvious. But Toto 4, Africa, does talk about Mount Kilimanjaro, talks about rain, talks about dry land, talks about all that stuff. And I don't know what all your thoughts are on it, but I actually don't mind the Weezer with Weird Al Yankovic version of it either.
No, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, Toto 4 is Africa. And sticking with the continent of Africa, Seals and Crofts actually did an album called Sudan Village. It's just as mellow as the Summer Breeze and all that kind of stuff, but there is a title track on there, Sudan Village. I've got the lyrics up here. It's kind of a song. See that girl dressed in green, prepare to receive your king, Sudan Village, we hear you. It's kind of one of those cultural songs about like a Sudanese village and the whole idea of kings and queens and princesses and all that kind of stuff. So kind of a neat album. And it's on Warner Brothers. Right. And we're gonna stick with some tropical. This is my daughter's album. My version of this is in a pile somewhere. But Duran Duran's Rio, of the Rio Grande and all that kind of stuff. Neat. I don't know if there's anything else on here.
Is Hungry Like the Wolf on that one?
Hungry Like the Wolf is on here. In fact, that's the reason my daughter actually bought this album.
That's a great song.
I don't know if I've ever told this story, but my daughter was allowed in her senior math class one year to choose a playlist on her iPod. They were allowed to listen to music while they were writing their final exam. And what my daughter forgot was that she had 2 songs that she picked for this playlist. It was supposed to be an ongoing playlist, and she had it on repeat of 2 songs: John Denver and and Hungry Like the Wolf.
What the heck? That's a
2 hours on repeat.
Oh, man.
Take me home, country
road.
road.
I got 2 more. I got 2. What's that?
No, it's just funny. Yeah, just going between the 2. That's hilarious.
I've got 2 more albums. The first one is I don't have this on vinyl. I know that this is probably one of the most polarizing songs by this band because it's post Brian Wilson. So I have the Cocktail soundtrack with Kokomo, which obviously Kokomo is not a real place, but Aruba is, Montego is, Florida Keys is, right? So those are all tropical locations in the South, but Kokomo is the one location that doesn't really exist in real life. But I know, like, other than, say, what's that album? That particular song anyway is probably the most polarizing of all the Beach Boy ones because most of the main members aren't on it. So
there's a Kokomo.
And then my last one I have here is Trooper and Hot Shots. The song Santa Maria. Yes, I know it is about the Christopher Columbus ship looking for the New World and all that kind of stuff. But there is a line that talks about the North Sea and the Northern Sea. And so I will finish off with Trooper. The only thing I know about Trooper is I do have a friend that's been to quite a few Trooper concerts. And he basically has said that when Trooper goes up, when they start drinking on stage, they are absolutely it's a shit show of a concert. It's a good concert, but they pretty much, it's a shit show. So
how much are their tickets? That's the only question.
Cheap. I saw them for free.
There you go. Then I would watch the shit show.
But it was, I mean, they were great when I saw them. They weren't shit faced. And I think now Ray McGuire, the singer, doesn't even tour anymore. So I think it's just the guitar player now.
No, it's not even Brian anymore either. It's nobody in Trooper is actual Trooper anymore. So,
oh, well, fuck that then.
Yeah. Someone bought the name. Unless Brian is back again. But for a while, there was nobody that was Trooper in Trooper. So
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn.
Here we go.
Okay. You guys ready for me to do 5? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Cinco.
You ready for me to do that?
Okay. This is a record by the lovely Miss Natalie Hemby, who's one of the Highwomen country music supergroup. Yep. And yes, this is actually autographed by her. This is her solo album, Pins and Needles, from 2021. It's a really good record. And there's a song in here called New Madrid. And New Madrid is a city in Mississippi. There's also an Uncle Tupelo song called New Madrid, but yes, it mentions the city, but that's not what the song is about. But her song is it's about I guess the longing for a relationship from the past and sort of the memories associated with that. And she says, New Madrid, remember when we made the Mississippi River run backwards, sleeping fault line, shifting pieces, pretending we can't feel the rift between us. Don't talk about it, New Madrid. So this is a fantastic, it's country, but it's not. I'm not a country fan. I freaking love this record. That's one. This is a band that Joe just got an album from recently, Cuff the Duke. This was their major label debut, which was their second record, and this came out in 2005 on CD, and then on vinyl in 2018, self-titled. And there's an album on here called Belgium or Peru. And it's another song sort of about, a failed relationship, and, someone left the lead singer, and, he mentions various places, Belgium and Peru and Mexico and all that kind of thing. I could go into all the lyrics, but I don't want to take up too much time. Okay. Best for last, and this is for you, Richard S. As John is going to talk about Billy Joel, I have to talk about Blue Rodeo. Blue Rodeo have a ton of songs with geographical references, but I'm going to talk about this one. This is Many a Mile. This was their most recent album from 2021. I'm not a big fan of this record. I think it's kind of so-so. It's not that it's bad. It sounds like it's been here, done that 7 times already. But nonetheless, there's a song in here called The Opening Act, which is hilarious. So Greg Keeler, one of the 2 founders and frontman, this old fart here, who's absolutely the nicest man in the world, he is very public about the fact that he hates touring. He goes, if I never had to tour, it'd be fine. He likes being in the studio making music, hates touring it. And what this song is about them embarking on a tour. And the way they're a Toronto band, so the way that they tour, and they do it in the winter, which sucks, but they do it in the winter because no one else is on the road. They start from Toronto and they play the first show going west. They always go Thunder Bay, Regina, maybe Saskatoon, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Victoria. Then they do the eastern part of the country. Then they come back and do Ontario and finish in Toronto. It's the way they've toured for 30 years. And it's basically about the first show of the tour, and Greg's like, I hate this. And he says, I sound like shit. I'm not into it. And I can't remember the name of the opening act. That's how bad it is. And it's kind of a funny story about the tour working its way out to Victoria and how Greg eventually hits his stride. And it's a pretty funny song. So it's kind of it's a song about touring Western Canada. And the last Blue Rodeo song I'm going to show, no one even knows they ever did because it's on a very obscure 12-inch. So this is a 12-inch, and mine is actually a promo copy. This is called Diamonds in the Rough. So from the album Diamond Mine, this is the 12-inch single for Diamond Mine, and God and Country is another song. But on here, they do a great cover of Glenn Campbell's Galveston. Really good cover of Galveston. And this is the only place you'll find it. It's not in any of their other studio albums. It's very true to the Glenn Campbell version. They do a fantastic job of it. And it's about Galveston, Texas.
Awesome.
And I'm done.
Good.
Right on.
So, John.
All right. No more Billy Joel. All right. I'm going to show you that I listen to other things. This one just came to my head. I was just thinking about it. Off of Devils and Dust, the song Reno. Talk about like great lyric writing, but graphic as hell. If you ever heard the song, it's very graphic, but I don't know. I wonder what was going through his head when he wrote it. It's probably the most like, holy crap, did he just say what I think he just said? Talking about him in a room with a woman, but he's not interested at all. He just kind of in it for the pleasure, but he's getting over a broken relationship and he's trying, I don't know. It's about a broken soul basically. And while the act's going on, he's looking out the window to the desert, and it's just well written. It's a very good song. It's Reno. It's one that took me by surprise that Springsteen would do, but I still appreciate the song for what it is. It's not like this, you hear some songs and it's just like overindulgent and, graphic, but he did a good job of painting a picture of what this guy was going through. So definitely check it out. They even have like a warning down here for the songs, graphic content. It's interesting.
Reno's the American Regina.
Yeah. It was, but it's you got to listen to the song to understand it. Plus the feel of it, the whole production of it's very good. All right, on to cleaner things. Tulsa Time off of Eric Clapton's Backless. that was originally done by Don Williams.
Don Williams.
There's only 2 chords in that song. I have no idea. I think it's a G and a D chord. That's it. And the writer of the song wrote it because he was originally from Tulsa, had been out traveling, got back to Tulsa, was caught in a motel during a big rainstorm, and started writing a song. And he wanted to add more chords to it, and Don Williams said, nope, it's good. So they kept it a 2-chord song. And, you know, it's interesting that Don Williams was revered by Clapton, and a lot of Clapton 70s stuff reflected a lot of Don Williams stuff. If you listen to that, it's interesting. A lot of rock guys were into Don Williams during the 70s. He was like this giant guy, but he had this soft voice and these really good lyrics. So,
and we've got a ton of Don Williams at the shop, and there's a couple people that come looking for it.
Yeah,
but you couldn't give it away, and it is really, really good. Really good.
I don't come across much here, and what I do find is in bad shape. So I'm trying to find some good Don Williams stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
This one, it's a little bit of a stretch, but it's Southern accent. It is talking about Tom Petty's going back home to Gainesville. He was surprised at this song. It was written like at 4:00 in the morning, and he was just kind of thinking about home. I think his mom had passed away at that point. Yeah, I think so. I think she passed away like in 80. But there is a line in there that it has deeper meaning to me now that I know that he wrote it about his mother. And he didn't even go to her funeral because he didn't want the publicity ruining the funeral. So he couldn't even go to his own mother's funeral because of its status as a star. So it's kind of sad. But the line in there, there's a dream I keep having where my mama comes to me, then kneels down by the window and says a prayer for me. So he did a little shout out to his mom in that song. So it's pretty cool. So, and it's a great album too. It's interesting because it's supposed to be his back to his Southern roots, sort of. But Dave, what's his name from the Rhythmics? Dave Thomas?
Dave
Stewart produced it. So like Don't Come Around Here No More as psychedelic, right? That's kind of a psychedelic song.
Sure.
But then you have Rebels, then you have Southern accent, but it works. I don't know how they did that, but it, you know, so it's not truly a country sounding album like Harvest. It just feels like it would be a Harvest feel, you know, like Neil Young, but the album works. I mean, it does. It has a hometown feel to it, even as crazy as Don't Come Around Here No More is. Then of course you got Tom Waits, Jersey Girl, before Bruce did it. Bruce changed the lyrics a little bit and made it his own, but Tom Waits wrote it. And Tom said, I can't believe I actually put sha-la-la-la-la in a song. He goes, I never thought I'd write a song with sha-la-la-la-la. But he did, and it's in here. This is a great album, Heart Attack and Vine. This one speaks for itself. Chet Baker in New York, trumpet player. You want a crazy story, check out Chet's life. He was playing trumpet with no teeth because he owed people some money, so it's a crazy story. B.B. King was all over the place. L.A. Midnight. And
Hollywood.
He was in London. This is a very good album right here. And he's like, you know what? Let's follow Johnny Cash and go to the Cook County Jail. So, killer album. Very good. Yeah, good album. And we'll end it with the chick that's better than Amanda Marshall.
Oh, don't say
Sheryl Crow,
Oh,
Leaving Las Vegas. And I think there's something in Run Baby Run. She names someplace in Run Baby Run, but you know, this album, like I read it in Rolling Stone magazine. I never was influenced by Rolling Stone, but they wrote this up and I was interested, and I didn't even know she already had singles out for I think Leaving Las Vegas was out, and what was the big hit off of there?
All I Want to Do has Santa Monica Boulevard on it.
There you go. Yep, that one does too. Yeah, and it's kind of a pretentious album. She was talking about it. They were on their high horse of literature because who else puts Aldous Huxley? You know, she was born in November 1963, the day Aldous Huxley died. I'm like, who's that guy? And I ended up reading his book, but yeah. So Sheryl Crow, Leaving Las Vegas. Yeah. Like you said, Santa Monica Boulevard, all that, but what a killer album. I mean, yeah. So that's it. That's my string.
Very nice.
Joe.
All right, this is going to be anticlimactic, and you guys all had great stuff. And this is a really good album, but there's really only one that I've got left, and it is Jack Green, and specifically the song "Babe" was the big hit off here, but the song is "This Is Japan." I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Jack or not. 4 albums, power poppy kind of stuff, but really good. I think if you heard "Babe," you'd know it. You'd go, "Oh yeah, I know that song," and probably "This Is Japan." And I guess it is somewhat fitting. There's Jack on the back, looking all power poppy. The very last lyrics are "This is Japan," and that is the end of the song. So that is going to be the end of our geographical show as well. This is Japan.
Damn. Nice job.
There we go. I am surprised that nobody showed "I've Been Everywhere" by Johnny Cash.
Yeah. We could and should, I guess. We could do this twice a year. Because, yeah, I mean, this is the stuff that first came off the top of my head. I didn't even put a whole bunch of thought into it, really. This was just stuff. Oh, yeah, there's that. So, yeah, we could, like I said, we could have just done it all Springsteen albums. You could have pulled every Springsteen album and found town references. And, you know, I mean, we didn't do the Eagles with Winslow, Arizona. There's so many. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this was fun. Let's do what we always do. We'll go around the horn. Everyone can give a little plug for their channel. John, what's going on in your world?
Well, I got some video ideas. I'm going to see what kind of hits me next. I'm thinking about doing like a breakdown of the decade, doing some Bowie and doing some Zappa, which Zappa, I don't even know how I'm going to do that. That's crazy. But I was also thinking about doing you know how I kind of like do 3 albums of an artist or whatever. But I just recently did Stevie Ray Vaughan because he only had, I think, 4 to 5 official studio albums. So I'll probably do something on that. But I want to look into like Otis Redding. Somebody mentioned the Isley Brothers. I'm like, I should check these guys out. I haven't really checked them out. And Led Zeppelin. And then Led Zeppelin's kind of a feat too because, you know, their song titles don't match what's in the song, and it can get very confusing there. So I'm thinking about doing that. And like I said, I just finished the Blue Rodeo 5 days in July. So I don't want to give too much away about it. Are you
going to make a video about that?
I think so. I think I have enough. I wrote a lot of notes. I'm thinking, well, you know, I'm going to get out there and do a little walkie-talkie like I did with Stevie. And
I'm intrigued.
Talk about Blue Rodeo. So I've got a bunch of ideas written down. Even Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers do a little bit of a jazz thing because he was kind of a coach to a lot of up-and-coming jazz artists. And once he felt that they were good enough, he's like, you go do your own thing. And he brought in new guys. So there's a whole really interesting story about Art Blakey. So that's kind of what's spinning around in my head right now.
Good.
Yep.
Daryl, how's the contest going?
The contest is going pretty good. Actually, one of the things I'm going to be doing is an update video shortly, probably in the next few days. Contest runs until just after MGK's ends, but I'm going to be out of town, so I'll probably let it run a couple days longer, but
I got to do
sometime mid-February. So I'm going to put an update. I think I've got about 25 entries. There's one guy that just did one. He doesn't want to be entered in the contest. He just wanted to do the questions. So that's 24 entries, of which only 2 of the 24 want the CDs.
Well, I was going to say, is this guy the guy that's going to win, and he doesn't want to be in, so he doesn't have to choose which the prize is? Is that what we're going with here? Or?
He's he's a guy that I think he's had a channel for like 4 years or whatever, but I think he only has like 4 or 5 videos out. He's out on the West Coast somewhere. I think he's just retired and just wants something to do for fun.
Cool. That's good.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm going to try to do, I know there's tons of those tags out, but there was one about, I don't know who was running it, that World Vinyl tag. I think I'm going to try that. And then I don't know, I might do Embryonics difficult tag, but I think that 99% of my questions are going to be my own questions, because he said that you could change 100% of it if you wanted.
Yeah, that's a tough one. If you stick with his questions, that's a tough one.
It's hard because there's certain things like those flexi discs and the long box CDs. I don't have any of that stuff, so I'm trying to think of a way that I could put a spin that's kind of related to each of those questions that I have in my collection. Yeah,
cool. And I just put yours at the top of my list for my videos. I got to do your video, so just put it there. Yep.
Anything else going on the channel there?
Not too much. Oh, my spell out my town video that I said I was going to do on last week's show, I did do it. There's been a few comments in the section about we totally forgot about that Project M that did that song Pop Music.
Oh yeah,
kind of brought it out to the limelight there. I showed the band. Well, it's not even a band, it's like a concept. It's a guy that just made all these songs on an album. So yeah, no, that was cool. I never thought I'd be able to do three albums by bands or musicians that start with O, but I do have a few in there. So
good.
Cool.
That was fun.
Good. Joe, you've been not only busy at the store, but Racer Records has some videos up on his channel.
Yeah, not sure. I mean, one for sure was for Daryl to help him out with his and do that, and a few people have watched it. And then I figured, what the heck? I was sitting when my computer was working earlier, which it still isn't, but anyway, yeah, I did one for Mike and Patty's contest this afternoon, and it just went up, and it's fun. I miss doing them. So I said a while ago, one of my resolutions, for lack of the proper word, was going to be to do a few here and there. So that's what I've been doing. And then, yeah, busy at the store. I did one the other day, the unboxing. Took a box of this great new collection. And, man, there is some killer stuff in there. Like, I know I keep sending you pictures of stuff, but there is a whole bunch of stuff I haven't even sent you pictures of that's in there as well. And it's not necessarily that it's super obscure stuff, but it is like definitive versions of, like you showed Songs in the Key of Life earlier, John. There is the definitive, highest audiophile version of that's in this collection. So it's a standard record, not a standard record. That's not the right way of putting it. Yeah. It's a fairly accessible record, but it's like the cleanest, nicest. Again, I don't remember exactly what copy. And then there's a bunch of Ajas, and there's like the Japanese pressing from wherever ago. So it's that type of stuff. Nice. And then there is some obscure stuff in there as well. Or there's some things that, Rob, you've suggested that, again, that I've, like Cuff the Duke, right, which I listened to, which was very good. White Horse was in there, which, again, you've suggested, but I haven't had a chance to listen to, short of going on YouTube, but it's not the same. We've talked about that. And then I listened to Lindy today again, and I might listen to that every day now, I think.
I just might.
Yeah, man, it's just so good. And I really, really enjoy that. And then
you should try and find her. That was her first album, Little Red Boots. The second album, that one is outstanding. Cigarettes and Truck Stops. That's the one that they did in Nashville that Colin Linden produced, and it is so good.
Yeah, I haven't gone through this whole collection. I'm hoping maybe it's in there somewhere still, or I'll just find it myself. And again, it's not that I didn't believe you, and I had listened to her, obviously, because you saw I'd sent you a couple of pictures of me watching on YouTube. That's not the same. It's not. We all know that. So that was kind of cool that it was in there, and I was able to.
It's been fun that you texted me some of those pictures, because they're bands I love and I rave about them, and I know most people go, "Oh crap, he's talking about some Canadian band that no one gives a shit about." But it's cool that you 3 days you sent me 3 different, and I'm like, I'm probably the only one in the VC that has those, and the fact that you liked them, I thought it was pretty cool. So
yeah, definitely. And that Civil Wars, I thought you had talked about them. I'm not sure, John or Daryl, if you're familiar with the band called the Civil Wars. Just it's another duo.
They are.
Actually, that's the one Taylor Swift song that she did with them for that Hunger Games movie.
Yeah.
That is a great song. That combination of that group. Yep.
They're really good. Again, I thought that was one that you had talked about. So that's another. And so that's been fun. I'm still going through this collection, and I did the video of basically I took a box and just did kind of a whack-a-mole out of the box because I had no idea what was in there, and It was good. I'll tell you real quick. I did it. I started to do one, and I didn't want to have any idea what was in the box. So I started, and I got about 5 minutes in with the usual me rambling. And then I pulled the first one out, and it was a classical one. So I didn't want, I know the whole box was classical, so I had to scrap that version and start all over again. Not that I couldn't have shown the classical albums, but it was not necessarily the intent of the purpose. And there are certainly people that will come in for the classical. It's not going to be the big draw by any means, though. So, yeah. So I got to about the 5 or 6 minute mark before I actually started to pull an album out. And then it ended up being classical. So then I started all over again, and away we go. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep doing some stuff on my channel. And then there's something that you can tell people about as well that we did together. So.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it off the top, but Joe and I did a video where we called it the Beatles versus Kiss, but it was just, it's not versus by any means, but Joe is we'll say a lifelong Kiss fan, and I'm a lifelong Beatles fan. And we both have an equal passion for those two bands. I like the Beatles as Joe likes Kiss. And so we just talked about that. We sort of reminisced about, our aha moments when both of those bands hit us respectively, and what our journey has been like with them whenever. And it was a pretty fun discussion, I think. So that's up on my channel. We ramble for about an hour, but I think it's entertaining. So, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. So there's that.
And there are moments where the two cross paths.
They do.
Well. I was going to ask you. I'm going to watch it probably tonight before I go to bed. But yeah, did you find any little connections? You found
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
That's very interesting. You don't think of Kiss and the Beatles in the same.
Well, and I said at the start of the video, I said to Joe, I said, there's instances where these bands couldn't be further apart, and there's also instances where these bands are sort of one and the same. So, and you'll find out what we mean by that as you go through the video. But it was a fun discussion. I enjoyed it. So
it was,
That was the Sunday video. I got a couple things up my sleeve. I still got to do the Beatles tag just because, but I want to do an unboxing because I got a record in the mail yesterday from Tim, who normally watches in our comments from Ottawa. I mean, Tim and I chat a lot offline, and he was at a show on the weekend and got something signed for me and sent it to me. So I have it over here, but I'm not going to show you what it is because I'll save it for the video. But Joe knows what it is. I sent him a picture of it, but it was pretty bloody cool. So I'm going to do a video about that, and that's kind of where it sits at the moment. So. Lots going on.
So. Yep. Awesome.
Guys, we almost did 3 hours tonight. That's insane.
Just about, and probably could have done another 3 again. There's just so many places and bands that are called, But it was great. It was awesome, as always.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. That's John, fun. Thank you for being our guest. We love every time you can join us, so thank you.
Appreciate it.
And to everyone that is watching in the comments and that may watch this later on, thank you. We love that you want to spend a couple hours with us. We really appreciate you tuning in every week or whenever you do tune in. It means a lot to us. We have fun doing this. So, Joe, Daryl, always a pleasure, my friends. We'll be back next week when we're talking about earworms next week, I think is the plan.
That is. Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
We'll have a different special guest next week. So
cool.
By earworms, John's looking at me funny. You know those songs that get stuck in your head and then you end up singing them all bloody day?
Like, why am I singing? Yep. Oh, right. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our plan. So until next week, thank you, everybody watching. Thank you, guys. We'll see everyone next week. Have a good night.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.